Chapter 567. What a strange troop. This was the first feeling every Dark Eagle soldier had. Miracle City's army did not make a single sound as they advanced. There were no war drums, no bugle horns, no command flags. The entire army did not have any parts to transmit or release orders, but they still advanced in an orderly and rapid manner. Not to mention the bumpkins of the Eagle Burial Kingdom, even the most knowledgeable scholars of the continent couldn't explain this. However, if one understood Miracle City, they would understand that this wasn't a difficult matter for Miracle City because each soldier's helmet had a signal receiving function. The Airborne Command Center could directly send orders to the soldiers and each square formation had a mobile command center. Even the captains of each team had the authority to use the communication channel. From the whole army, to the parts, and to the individual units, these three channels could guarantee that Miracle City's soldiers could move according to their orders. Fast, and timely. No matter what happened on the battlefield, not a single soldier could receive the situation in time. Under this kind of communication, the pale and powerless art of war had already lost its value. They were only competing in terms of strength. The Dark Eagle army also found something abnormal. For an army, especially an attacking army, the vanguard was the most important unit, so they had to have a strong enough charge and penetration. If a sword's tip wasn't sharp enough, how could it easily pierce through its target? It was the same logic. If the vanguard of an army was sharp, how could they break through the enemy's formation? If they couldn't shock them in the first round, they would be greatly weakened in the following battles. The Miracle City Army's vanguard was in a standard formation. Each ogre had 4 barbarian soldiers, with the ogres holding a special giant shield in one hand and a large caliber source energy cannon in the other. The barbarian soldiers were all holding destroyer heavy firearms, standing behind the ogres. These weapons looked heavy and stupid, how could they be used as the vanguard? The Dark Eagle King couldn't be careless at all. The Dark Eagle King had a lot of information, including the Battle of the 4 States Lake in southern Xia. He also knew what kind of weapons these humans had, so why would they need to charge forward with these weapons? Not to mention, from the movements of these soldiers, Miracle City's Berserker army was a well-trained army. This kind of dangerous aura was not something a mob could release. Something's wrong. The Dark Eagle King gave an order to a valiant general beside him, take a wolf cavalry vanguard and charge in from the left flank. Test their strength. Understood. This fierce general was a famous general of the Eagle Burial Kingdom and his status was even higher than the Warhound's king's. An experienced general would feel a dangerous aura, therefore he did not have any objections to the Dark Eagle King's cautious actions. A group of Black Wolf riders charged out of the formation like an arrow. The Demon Wolf cavalry was the most common cavalry in the Eagle Burial Kingdom. The Dark Eagle Army's Demon Wolf cavalry were different, these Demon Wolves were level 2 demon beasts. They could reach subsonic speeds with their full strength and were very mobile, making it hard for people to catch them. The order was given. The 10,000 Demon Wolves were like a swarm of locusts. With a swoosh, they separated from the army. That rapid and silent charge was like a lawnmower that flattened a large area of the grassland. Quick. It was too fast. This kind of army could quickly attack the left flank of the Berserker army, their goal was to scatter the enemy's formation in one fell swoop. As long as the Forest Alliance army was in chaos, the Dark Eagle King would seize this chance and the army would charge in. No matter what tricks they had, they would be defeated in one fell swoop. Of course the Berserker army wasn't blind. When this dangerous and fast wolf cavalry moved, the Berserker army had already received the order, but their formation didn't change at all. They just charged at the Eagle Burial Kingdom army, as if they were ignoring the wolf cavalry's interference. This was because these flies didn't need their attention at all. The cannons in the center of each square began to rotate, and a violent energy suddenly gathered. Hung, hung, hung. Several energy cannons instantly shot out. The wolf cavalry was very fast and when they were about to charge out, the energy cannons created a series of heavy injuries, causing the entire formation to fall into chaos. The Dark Eagle King's expression changed. The Eagle Burial Kingdom already had a bit of information, especially the source energy cannons used in the War Hounds, but they never would have thought that in less than a year, Miracle Commerce's source energy cannons would have been improved to this degree. Not only did their range increase by several times, their power also increased by several times, and they were even made into war chariots. It was no wonder the army had this kind of attack formation. Just based on the range and power of the source energy cannons, this was not something a vanguard army could achieve. Therefore, Miracle Commerce's army didn't need a strong vanguard at all. No matter how strong the enemy's defense was, how many times could it withstand the bombardment of these cannons? The Dark Eagle King angrily roared, "Sound the drums, everyone attack." The Eagle Burial Kingdom's war drums became 10 times louder, and each drum beat seemed like it was hitting a person's heart. The war drums were made from high-level demon beast leather, therefore it had a spiritual intimidation effect. When the 100 war drums beat at the same time, it was deafening and reverberated through the 9 heavens. Woo! Several long dragon bone horns were blown, instantly pushing the atmosphere of the battlefield to its peak. The Earth Dragon Army and the Kodo Beast Army poured out, charging at Miracle Commerce's army. The Dark Eagle King was very clear that the best way to deal with this kind of army was to brace himself and fight. Although their weapons were very powerful, they had their limits. Once the two sides engaged in close combat, no matter how powerful the cannons were, no matter how powerful the firearms were, would they still be of any use? But was it easy to get close? Several dozen source energy cannons fired at the same time. The dazzling and gorgeous energy cannonballs plowed gullies into the ground in an instant, and the appearance of each gully signified the disappearance of hundreds of soldiers. Miracle Commerce's source energy cannons already used the second-generation energy source. These source energy cannons on the war chariots were limited by the vehicles, so their power wasn't that high. But even like this, it was still enough to kill a 5th to 6th true spirit layer cultivator. Even if the Eagle Burial Kingdom was an elite, how many of them could reach the 5th to 6th true spirit layer? When the Dark Eagle King saw the terrifying destructive power of the source energy cannons and the Eagle Burial Kingdom's elite soldiers disappearing in the beams of light, his eyes almost spat out flames. Go, all of you go. This weapon can only attack long-range targets. As long as we go up, it'll be our world. The Eagle Burial Kingdom army was truly brave. Even in this kind of situation, they charged forward while facing the cannons. Now they were very close to Miracle City's army. The time was ripe. The airborne army moved out. The Eagle Burial Kingdom had many airborne soldiers. There were nimble eagle warriors and powerful battle strength like the twin-legged dragon knights, covering Miracle City's army like a large dark cloud. Miracle City's source energy cannons were indeed very strong, but their weakness was very clear. They were more suited for charging into a battle, which was to deal with targets that couldn't move. They were more suited for dealing with large armies on the battlefield, but once they met an airborne target or a ground target that was too close, the source energy cannons were a bit lacking and they would lose sight of them. Kill, kill. Most of the Eagle Burial Kingdom soldiers were awakened soul cultivators, and they were releasing the glow of their source spirits at this moment. All kinds of charged attacks were thrown at Miracle City's army. Miracle City's army faced an army that clearly outnumbered them, but they weren't panicked at all. The ogres in the front raised their shields at the same time, and a scene that shocked the Eagle Burial Kingdom soldiers happened. The ogres' shields released light, and the light connected together, instantly forming an incomparably large barrier to the outside world. Hung, hung, hung. The random attacks of the Eagle Burial Kingdom soldiers landed on the giant barrier, but most of them disappeared. There were only a few strong attacks that created cracks on the barrier. The second and third rows, Miracle City's army released 3 layers of large energy shields. What was this? The Eagle Burial Kingdom generals were all stunned. Battle barriers weren't rare on the battlefield, but most of them were very troublesome and could only be used to defend cities or strongholds. This kind of large moving barrier was very rare. Airborne army. Go around them. Although Miracle City's battle barrier was very strong, it wasn't a full-range defensive barrier. The Eagle Burial Kingdom's airborne army directly went over the barrier to attack the soldiers. Who would have thought that at this time, the soldiers would raise their armed guards and light would appear on their armed guards, blocking the Eagle Burial Kingdom's large-scale attack. Other than the large-scale barrier, each soldier was carrying a barrier with them. This time even the Dark Eagle King felt a wave of fear, he even suspected that he was in a nightmare. The wealthiest countries on the continent would at most give each soldier a protective talisman. This talisman's defensive effect was very limited and it required the user to be proficient in talisman techniques to use it. He had never seen a scene like this before. Each soldier had their own protective barrier that could be activated and deactivated at any time. It was convenient and the most important thing was that it had a very strong defensive effect. The Dark Eagle army didn't have time to give any other orders before Miracle City's army began their counterattack. Several thousand heavy firearms opened fire at the same time and it was like a curtain of light falling from the sky. Countless energy bullets fell like a wild storm. Those powerful pterosaurs with strong bodies were all turned into live targets. Hung, hung, hung. The individual source energy cannons also exploded. One giant beast after another was blown to pieces. Although they had the advantage in numbers, the Dark Eagle army met a one-sided slaughter. They couldn't break through the strong defenses no matter what and were all stopped on the outside, enduring the wild baptism of cannon fire. Chapter 568. Whether it was the Dark Eagle army attacking from the front or from the air, they couldn't disturb the Miracle Commerce Army's formation at all. The Miracle Commerce Army was orderly as the cannon fire swept across the Dark Eagle army. How was this a battle? It was simply a mixture of metal and meat that was being thrown into a meat grinder. Those who died under the source energy cannons didn't even have a complete corpse left. This was not a battle that could be measured by numbers. Even if the Dark Eagle army was stronger, they still couldn't resist the weapons carefully developed by Miracle Commerce. Their steps were all stopped by the iron wall of shields. In front of the incomparably fierce and powerful source energy weapons, their equipment, their cultivation, and their powerful demon beast mounts were all as weak as paper. A fortress. This was a fortress that was hard to shake. The Dark Eagle King couldn't hold it in anymore. Go! Go! The remaining Dark Eagle army soldiers and the guards poured out like a flood. Although the Miracle Commerce Army's shields were very strong, there was a limit to how strong the shields were. With this kind of wild attack, they didn't believe they couldn't break a single layer of the shields. The battle had already reached its climax. Miracle Commerce's Berserker army was built with large amounts of resources. There were shields made from energy shields, short soldiers made from energy weapons, and war chariots powered by source energy engines. Each soldier was wearing the newest Miracle Commerce mech suits. The mech suits already had a simple control system that could connect to the weapons and communication devices they carried. It could be said that this was the most advanced information warfare force in this era. Even in the most chaotic battlefield, they could quickly determine the situation and launch the correct attack or defense. How could this kind of watertight defense be easily broken through? Several dozen war chariots suddenly opened their launchers. Hundreds of missiles shot into the sky, leaving behind a beautiful trail as they wildly bombarded the troops around the Dark Eagle King. Some of these missiles were intercepted by the aerial troops of the Dark Eagle army, while others successfully landed on the ground. Each missile released intense light and heat, and each attack took the lives of at least hundreds of Dark Eagle army soldiers. The Dark Eagle King's face was already covered in dust. Although with his cultivation, it was enough for him to avoid the center of the explosion, and the shockwaves were unable to harm him, his surroundings were already filled with flames and smoke, making it impossible for him to see anything clearly. This is bad. Guards, guards! The Dark Eagle King felt a dangerous aura and immediately gave an angry roar. The Dark Eagle personal guards all gathered around him. These personal guards were all experts in the 7th Awakened Soul layer and there were around 2,000 of them, enough to resist a true spirit realm attack. However, at this moment, a figure walked out from the smoke. This person did not wear any exaggerated attire, only a spotless white robe. He did not seem to be hiding his tracks at all as he swaggered over to where the Dark Eagle King was. "Protect His Majesty, Dark Eagle King." A Black Hawk personal guard angrily roared as he soared into the sky. He was a very powerful Hawk clan warrior, and with a flap of his wings, he teleported in the air, appearing in front of Chu Tian in just a few jumps. His 10 sharp claws tore through the air, finally turning into 10 powerful energies that swept over. The claw went down. Even the sturdy body of an earth dragon would be torn into pieces on the spot. What happened next made this guard captain dumbfounded. The human continued to slowly walk over, completely ignoring the attack. 10 brutal and tyrannical claw lights landed on his body without any hindrance, but they also passed through without any hindrance. This was not the feeling of flesh being torn apart. It was as if he had landed on thin air. Before the personal guard captain could come back to his senses, Chu Tian had already walked to his side. He did not use any spirit energy or any cultivation technique, he just sent out a very simple punch. However, this simple punch was extremely fast. The personal guard captain's body flew through the air and he couldn't withstand the huge force as he broke into several pieces in the air. A punch. A casual punch. It had actually shattered a peak 9th awakened soul layer expert. This human clearly did not use any cultivation technique or spirit energy, it was just a normal punch. This strange scene shocked everyone, including the Dark Eagle King himself. "Kill him." Hundreds of Black Hawk bodyguards pounced forward to attack. Whether it was sabers, spears, swords, sticks, ice, fire, water, or earth, physical attacks, or elemental attacks, as long as they landed on Chu Tian's body, they were all nullified and turned into nothingness. Chu Tian did not place these people in his eyes at all. He moved at a steady speed through the middle, his target was very clear, it was the Dark Eagle King that was being protected in the middle. What is he? Why can't we attack him? These personal guards were all elite soldiers picked out of 1,000. Each one of them had undergone strict training. Even if they met a strong opponent, they would not hesitate to charge forward and fight without panicking. Now that they were facing Chu Tian, who was slowly walking over, they all began to waver and hesitate. Chu Tian was like a ghost that could not be attacked at all. Whether it was energy attacks or normal attacks, they were all nullified from start to finish. If they did not see him explode a personal guard captain with a single punch, perhaps they would have thought that this was just an illusion. In less than a minute, Chu Tian was already not far from the Dark Eagle King. The 2 elite personal guard captains charged forward fearlessly from the left and right. Chu Tian's expression still did not change. He took a step forward, and 2 swords slashed across his body. When the fierce sword chi was released, it actually cut 5 or 6 of the Dark Eagle personal guards in half. It was still useless. The 2 captains did not have time to retract their attacks. A hand stretched out and placed on their chests. This hand was as clear as jade and was even smoother than a woman's. However, the muscles were as clear as a statue carved by an elf. It could be said to be the perfect combination of strength and beauty. They had never seen such a perfect pair of arms before. This was the last thought left in the minds of the 2 captains. Because the moment the 2 captains had this thought, Chu Tian's eyes had already turned a berserk red. That pair of perfect arms that looked like they were carved by an artist suddenly had a layer of blue veins pop out. A pure power, from every part of his body, every bone, every muscle, was transmitted to his shoulders, arms, wrists, and finally to his palms. Pang! The 2 captains were like cannonballs that were stuffed into a cannon and shot out. In almost an instant, they flew over 100 meters. The dozen or so Black Shadow personal guards were smashed together. Under that pure and terrifying power, their flesh, armor, and weapons seemed to be squeezed together, turning into an indistinguishable mixture. The color of Chu Tian's eyes returned to normal. He did not care at all, as if he had swatted away 2 flies. He took 4 or 5 steps forward and arrived in front of the Dark Eagle King. Although the Dark Eagle King was 2 heads taller than him, Chu Tian still looked down at him. Who was it that leaked the information to you? The Dark Eagle King looked at this young human and actually felt his body break out in a cold sweat. Kill, kill, kill. The surrounding personal guards saw that the Dark Eagle King had already confronted this dangerous human. They all charged forward like moths to a flame. There were many black-silver personal guards, and each one of them was not weak. If everyone's attacks were stacked together, there was a good chance that they could break Chu Tian's void escape. But even if they could break the void shield, would they have a chance to kill Chu Tian? Chu Tian's body was not the same as before. Chu Tian also had the Starlight Immortal body, and Chu Tian also had the spatial movement ability. No matter how many people there were, it was useless, they were just sending themselves to their deaths. However, Chu Tian was not in the mood to clean up this trash, so he decided to deal with them all at once. Spiritual energy exploded. Chu Tian's spiritual energy filled the sky. This was the group's spiritual energy attack he had learned from the Demon Ant Valley. Chu Tian's divine sense was much stronger than before, so the spiritual energy explosion was even stronger and could cover a greater distance. The Dark Eagle personal guards felt an explosion in their heads, like a bomb had been thrown into their heads. This strong explosion instantly destroyed all their thoughts and intuition. They were all like puppets with their strings cut, their bodies stiffened as they fell to the ground. Other than shock, there was still shock. This human's strength had completely surpassed their imaginations. He had used his spiritual energy to instantly take down all the Dark Eagle personal guards. Chu Tian did not even look at the people lying on the ground. His two bright moon-like eyes stared at the Dark Eagle King, and a chill came from the depths of his eyes. I'll ask again, who revealed this information to you? There is nothing that can threaten the warriors of the Eagle Burial Kingdom. After a short moment of shock, the Dark Eagle King revealed a fierce expression, die. The Dark Eagle King released the power of his source spirit and his wings spread high into the air. A jet-black spear appeared in his hand and he moved very quickly. When Chu Tian looked up, a long spear was already in front of him. Hong! The spear pierced through the spatial barrier and stabbed into Chu Tian's left chest. The Dark Eagle King was stunned before revealing a look of joy. It wasn't that this human couldn't attack, it was just that his attack wasn't strong enough. However, the joy that he revealed quickly froze on his face because his spear stabbed into Chu Tian's body without being able to move an inch. Rather, there was a strong rebound that forced him back several steps. Chu Tian shook his head, you're completely wrong. The Dark Eagle King said with a cold smile, human, you dare fight me? The Dark Eagle King had already felt that although this human's cultivation was high, he was only in the 8th true spirit layer. It was only because he cultivated several strange cultivation techniques that he had an unimaginably strong defense, but it wasn't like this defense couldn't be broken. The Dark Eagle King was a strong expert in the peak 9th true spirit layer, and he had the Eagle God's bloodline, so his battle strength was not something normal people could compare to. Why did he need to fear this human? Chu Tian softly said, if you can block a single move of mine, it'll be my loss. Shameless boasting. Then give it a try. When the Dark Eagle King charged out in rage, Chu Tian waved his hand in the air and a sharp spatial energy passed through his body. The Dark Eagle King's pupils suddenly shrank and his expression froze on his face. He could clearly see his body being separated. Phaseless sword. The Dark Eagle King never would have thought that Chu Tian's true trump card was not his dodging ability, his defense, or even his spiritual energy, but rather a spatial attributed sword art. Chapter 569. When Chu Tian's sword cut down the Dark Eagle King, he also cut off the Dark Eagle Army's spiritual pillar, causing the spirit beasts to fall apart. Even if it was the strong Dark Eagle Army, under the attacks of the source energy cannons and the heavy weapons, as well as the spirit beasts being killed, their morale was completely gone. Too weak. This kind of battle was too boring. Chu Tian took out a walkie-talkie and gave the order, full army, attack. When the Dark Eagle Army's defeat became more and more obvious, the Berserker Army received the order to charge and took out their weapons. Giant energy swords and energy axes appeared in their hands as 20,000 berserkers went berserk at the same time. What kind of magnificent and terrifying scene was this? When the berserkers' killing intent erupted, it made people feel like a volcano was erupting. Almost at the same time, the layers of large shields were dispelled. This filled the Dark Eagle army with a trace of hope because this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Although the Dark Eagle army had suffered heavy losses, most of them were still here, so they still had the advantage in numbers. It wasn't like they didn't have a chance of winning in this desperate situation. However, the murderous aura that gradually rose from the berserkers like a stormy sea made them stop in their tracks. In the few seconds they were stunned, the sounds of engines roaring came from the various squares of Miracle City's army. Several dozen chariots floated into the air and blue flame crows came out from their tails, charging out like a gust of wind. Each chariot was covered in a layer of energy shields and there were several energy blades on the sides of the chariots, making them look like giant floating spiders. These energy blades rotated at high speeds. Not only did they maintain their balance, but they also formed an incomparably sharp disc. Their engines spat out an even hotter and faster energy flow. Dozens of chariots charged into the crowd like they were cutting grass. In an instant, they cut a bloody path through the Black Eagle army. Killing machines. Pure killing machines. When the Reaper chariots quickly reaped lives, the berserkers had already gone berserk. Once the berserkers entered the berserk state, not only would their physical strength increase by 10 times, they would also lose their fear and feel no pain. Their battle intent would also increase without limit. The Dark Eagle army could be considered to have experienced the true power of the Berserker army. Not only could this terrifying troop advance steadily like before, but they could also rampage and kill like a herd of mad bulls. The Berserkers' battle strength was already very strong, not to mention that each Berserker was wearing the newest mech suit developed by Miracle City. Each mech suit was connected to a shield, an energy weapon, and there were all kinds of medicines, healing, recovery arrays, and etc. It increased the Berserker's strength by 10 to 100 times. An ogre with bloodshot eyes charged over. Whether it was the fierce attacks from the surrounding Black Hawk soldiers or the hidden arrows from afar, they were all blocked by the shield of the mecha. They did not cause any damage to the ogre, but the ogre raised his weapon. The weapon's size was very suitable for the ogre. It looked like a thick metal rod, but when the ogre pressed the button on it, 2 huge energy blades appeared on both sides of the metal rod, turning it into a double-edged energy axe. Roar! The ogre wildly roared as the double-edged axe swept across the surrounding people. This was a very high energy blade weapon, easily cutting through the protective spirit energy or armor of the Black Hawk soldiers like it was cutting vegetables. The other berserkers wildly charged in like wolves charging into a flock of sheep. The Black Hawk army's morale had already fallen to rock bottom and now it completely collapsed with this charge. Therefore, although they had more people than Miracle City, their battle strength was not proportional. It was a one-sided slaughter. This was not a motley crew. This was the direct army of one of the 5 Eagle Kings of the Eagle Burial Warring Kingdom. In such a short period of time, they were utterly defeated. The soldiers howled as they were chased by the berserkers all over the plains. Their corpses covered every corner of the plains. There was no longer any meaning in fighting the battle to this point. Chu Tian shook his head, pulled out a scroll and opened it. With a schwa sound, Chu Tian was transported back to the Northern Militant Country's transmission point. The Northern Militant Country's person in charge Luz quickly came over and his face was filled with awe. "Sir City Lord, we have already recorded the entire battle and made it into a video. This video of the battle was requested by Meng Qingguo. This 20,000-man army was Miracle Commerce's first and only super army with advanced equipment, therefore the first battle's data was very important. Not only would this provide more data to develop better weapons in the future, it would also be used as a promotional video. It would be hard for Miracle Commerce's weapons to not sell well in the future." Chu Tian was not concerned about this. The Dark Hawk King did not reveal any valuable clues, so he had no way of investigating their entire plan. Chu Tian had just received news that the subterranean world had already allied with a part of the purgatory world's power, launching a crusade against the eastern region, which was where Chu Tian was. The reason for this crusade was naturally because the surface races were occupying the purgatory world's territory and resources. The four giants couldn't just sit back and watch. This was because they had a share of the purgatory world. The purgatory world's resources were very unique, and there were many things that couldn't be found on the surface. If the purgatory world was wiped out, where would they find a good place like this in the future? Therefore, the four giants personally led the experts of the various races to the purgatory world to assist in the battle. Chu Tian and Meng Qinggu both felt that miracle commerce had fallen into a passive state. The subterranean world could attack the purgatory world from below and the surface world from above. The four giants could only attend to one thing: it would be very hard for them to escape unscathed. The most important thing was that Chu Tian and Meng Qinggu had a premonition that the plan to deal with Miracle City was very well thought out. Therefore, other than the trouble they were facing now, there had to be other trump cards they hadn't used yet. So what would this trump card be? No matter what it was, Chu Tian was fighting the Eagle Burial World in the Three Kingdoms, the four giants were defending the Purgatory World, blocking the attacks of the other Purgatory World cities, and the young miss had to be on guard against the Subterranean World's large-scale invasion of the surface world. It could be said that the Forest Alliance's attention and energy had been completely scattered. If another strong enough power came to disturb them, the Forest Alliance would face an unprecedented crisis. Sir City Lord, there is an urgent report from the Great Zhou country. What is it? The leader of the 5 Eagle Kings, the Blood Eagle King, has led an army of 500,000 to invade the Great Zhou country. Adding in the army that invaded the Great Zhou country, there are at least 800,000 Eagle Burial Kingdom soldiers in the Great Zhou country. They are already in a dangerous situation. I understand. Chu Tian slightly jumped up and immediately made a call. Young miss, how much information do you have on the Blood Eagle King? We have been collecting information on the Eagle Burial Kingdom's 5 Eagle Kings since the start of the war. We have information on the other 4 Eagle Kings, but we don't know much about this Blood Eagle King. The young miss said to Chu Tian in the communication device. The Blood Eagle King is the leader of the 5 Eagle Kings and the little brother of the Eagle Burial Kingdom's Eagle ruler. He reached the peak 9th true spirit layer several years ago and has been living in seclusion. No one knows his strength. Chu Tian thought about it and suddenly had an idea. Make several copies of the battle video, send one to the young miss and leave one for me. With Miracle Commerce's current technology, it was very easy to make a copy. Chu Tian received the copy of the battle video in a few minutes and immediately used the transport tower to go to the Great Zhou country's imperial city. The Great Zhou Imperial City was built near the Death Ice Field. This grand city had only been built for a month, but it was already filled with people. Chen Bingyu was the Great Zhou Queen and the representative of Miracle Commerce. Therefore, if Miracle Commerce had any good things, they would all go through Imperial City. The Great Zhou King's position was not the same as before. Those arrogant sects, in order to curry favor with Miracle Commerce, lowered their stance and even paid tribute to Wang Cheng. It could be imagined how high the Great Zhou royal family's position in the Great Zhou country was. Chu Tian hadn't seen the great beauty Chen Bingyu in several months. He almost didn't recognize her when he saw her. Chen Bingyu's bloodline awakening was becoming higher and higher, completely surpassing her father's generation. She now had a head of silver white hair, looking noble and aloof, simply like a natural queen. Great beauty Chen is even more beautiful. Chu Tian carefully looked over Chen Bingyu and said in a surprised voice, Your cultivation has also reached the 8th true spirit layer? Sir City Lord still remembers me. Chen Bingyu glared at him. I thought you had already forgotten about me. Actually, after the Imperial City Transport Tower was built, Chen Bingyu had gone to Miracle City many times, but she couldn't see Chu Tian every time she went to Miracle City, so she couldn't help feeling a bit resentful. How could that be? My memory isn't that good, but I always remember beautiful women. I've been too busy recently. Chu Tian smiled as he apologized, but his smile disappeared. Then let's first talk about the Great Zhou country's current situation. Chen Bingyu revealed a map. The Eagle Burial Kingdom is attacking the Three Kingdom Alliance, with the Great Zhou country and the Northern Militant country bearing the brunt. Because the Great Summer country doesn't have a border with the Eagle Burial Kingdom, they aren't affected much in this war. The Great Zhou country is the strongest among the Great Zhou country and the Northern Militant country. It can be said that as long as they take down the Great Zhou country, the Three Kingdom Alliance will lose half of their territory. Therefore, the main force of the Eagle Burial Kingdom's attack will be in the Great Zhou country. Chu Tian nodded. The Great Zhou country is an old kingdom and an important member of the Three Kingdom Alliance. We have to think of a way to hold on to the Great Zhou country, otherwise once the Great Zhou country is heavily injured, our kingdom alliance will weaken. Chen Bingyu asked, do you have a plan? I do, but we don't know if we can succeed, so we might as well give it a try. Chapter 570. Miracle Commerce's scale was very large, but they were limited by time and production, so they only had a single mechanized army like the Northern Militant Kingdom. The Eagle Burial Kingdom's army was strong and they could move in all directions. An army of 20,000 people, no matter how strong they were, couldn't deal with this kind of situation. Great Zhou, Great Summer, and Northern Militant, the only one that could be considered to be the Great Zhou country was the Great Zhou country. The Great Zhou country was a sect country, so their fighting strength was distributed among the sects and they didn't undergo military management. Whether it was quality, battle strength, or experience, they couldn't compare to the Eagle Burial Kingdom at all. Chu Tian had defeated the Eagle Burial Kingdom's vanguard in the Northern Militant Kingdom, so he had to face the Great Zhou country. Compared to the Northern Militant Kingdom, the Eagle Burial Kingdom's army in the Great Zhou country was much stronger. Miracle Commerce couldn't deal with this kind of invasion at all, so it wasn't wise to fight them head-on. The Blood Eagle King was the head of the Eagle Burial Kingdom's 5 Eagle Kings and the Eagle Ruler's younger brother. He had a high position and was very strong. He had a very high position in the Eagle Burial Kingdom, being above tens of thousands of people. Your Majesty, the Blood Eagle King, a human calling himself the Forest Alliance's envoy, requests an audience. Requests an audience? The Blood Eagle King was a tall and strong spirit beast old man. His eyebrows were as white as snow, his eyes drooped down, and his nose was hooked. Although he looked very old, it didn't affect his aura at all, rather it gave people a sharp feeling. He dares come here, is he tired of living? This personal guard respectfully brought over a scroll. That human said that this is something for your Majesty to see. He also said that as long as you see this, you will summon him. Humph, then I want to see what he has taken out. When the Blood Hawk King opened the scroll in front of him, his small but sharp eyes suddenly widened. Because when he opened the scroll, what appeared was actually a moving image. It was clearly a recording of the battle between the two armies in some way. One side was clearly the Eagle Burial Kingdom's Dark Eagle Corps and the other side was a strange army they had never heard of before. From the confrontation between the two sides to the fight, the entire process was clearly shown on the scroll. Although there was no sound, people could feel the intensity and desperation of the battle. The Black Eagle army suffered heavy losses from the very beginning, and in the end, they didn't even have the strength to fight back. The Dark Hawk army was one of the most elite armies in the Eagle Burial Kingdom. Even a normal wolf cavalry mount was an expensive level 2 demon wolf. This kind of fierce and aggressive tiger wolf army was actually beaten this miserably. The images in this scroll had clearly been sped up or cut, but the Blood Eagle King could tell from the battlefield environment that a normal battle didn't even last an hour. Almost the entire prairie was covered in the corpses of the Dark Eagle army, so the casualties Miracle City's caravans had to pay weren't worth mentioning at all. Humph. The Blood Eagle King's face sank. Although he hadn't heard of the matter regarding the Northern Militant country, his intuition told him that this matter was definitely true. It was just that the news wasn't spread that fast. This human actually sent this thing in front of him. Could it be to demonstrate his strength? Arrogant. Bring him in for me. Chu Tian was brought into the tent by 8 personal guards. The Blood Eagle King saw Chu Tian for the first time and immediately stared at him. It's you. Although most of the images were shot from different angles, there were several that were close to Chu Tian's position. Therefore, with the Blood Eagle King's eyesight and insight, he could clearly recognize him. Bold. Too bold. This human slaughtered one of the most important armies in the Eagle Burial Kingdom, the Dark Hawk Army. Now he dared to charge into the Blood Eagle Army's main camp alone. Did he not know that the Blood Eagle Army was several times stronger than the Dark Hawk Army? Not to mention a trivial person, even if he brought the entire army in the images, the Blood Eagle King wouldn't be afraid. Chu Tian pretended like he didn't know anything. He raised his hands and said, "This one is Miracle City's City Lord, Miracle Commerce's Chairman, and the Forest Alliance's Chairman. I greet the Blood Eagle King." The Blood Eagle King slightly narrowed his eyes. Chu Tian. He had heard of this name before. When Southern Xia didn't fall, it was because of this Chu Tian that turned the tide at the critical moment. Who would have thought that in just a short year, this human would go from an unknown Southern Xia person to this kind of status? Moreover, he had the strength to kill the Dark Hawk King in an army of 10,000. He looked very confident. But any kind of confidence had a foundation. Since this human dared to come here alone, he most likely had the ability to retreat. Then where did his confidence come from? The Blood Eagle King calmed down a bit. Do you know that you have already formed a blood feud with the Eagle Burial Kingdom? Even if this king killed you 100 times, it wouldn't be enough. I'm very curious what kind of courage makes you dare appear here. The Eagle Burial Kingdom is on the brink of destruction. Chu Tian had a calm expression as he calmly said, "I'm here to persuade the Eagle Burial Kingdom to rein in their horses." Ha, ha, ha. Joke, a giant joke. Is this human brat crazy? Actually running here to say stupid words, drag him out and behead him. The Blood Eagle King's subordinates all wildly laughed. Of course they didn't know what happened in the Warhound Plains, and they didn't know that the human youth they were laughing at had personally killed the revered Dark Hawk King, as well as slaughtering over 100,000 of the Dark Hawk Army's main force. Otherwise, would they still dare to talk to Chu Tian like this? Chu Tian slowly said, "The Eagle Burial Kingdom is about to be destroyed, don't you feel it at all? The Eagle Burial Kingdom is like the sun in the sky, doubling their territory in just a few years." The Blood Eagle King was not in a rush to make a move against Chu Tian. "Tell me, where are the signs of destruction?" The Eagle Burial Kingdom has been attacking all over the place for several years, making the countries hate them. Now that the Eagle Burial Kingdom is at its peak, the countries don't dare make a move for now. Once the Eagle Burial Kingdom encounters a large setback, as long as a power summons them, the countries will respond. That's one of the reasons. The Eagle Burial Kingdom has many cities, people, and wealth, but they don't know that they are planting the seeds of destruction for themselves. The Eagle Burial Kingdom's territory has doubled and their population has increased by several times. There are many people who have been conquered by violence, arousing their hatred towards the Eagle Burial Kingdom. Over time, there will be internal troubles and those troops that have been forcefully absorbed will rebel. Being cruel and tyrannical, this is the second reason. When Chu Tian said this, the Eagle Burial Kingdom generals revealed looks of anger. The Eagle Burial Kingdom has won every battle for several years, so the entire country has become blindly arrogant. They think they are invincible in the world, not placing anyone in their eyes, but they don't know that the Eagle Burial Kingdom is limited. Once a balloon expands, as long as an external force is added, it will be destroyed in an instant. Blindly impetuous, this is the third reason. The Eagle Burial Kingdom has been pursuing the path of an empire for several years, but they have only focused on conquering, neglecting diplomatic relations. They don't know that the empires on the continent are already fixed, so the Eagle Burial Kingdom's rise will be suppressed by the empires. Can the Eagle Burial Kingdom fight against the empires? Diplomatic relations are useless, this is the fourth reason. Enough. An Eagle Burial Kingdom general angrily stood up, preparing to charge at Chu Tian. Spiritual energy severed. This Eagle Burial Kingdom general felt his body tremble and he couldn't control his body. He fell to the ground with a look of fear as he found that he couldn't control his cultivation at all. Chu Tian just casually looked at this general before saying, "The Eagle Burial Warring Kingdom's Eagle Emperor likes to show off, not distinguishing between right and wrong, not rewarding merit and hiding talents. A valiant general like the Blood Eagle King hasn't led troops for over 10 years, but he has trained 4 Eagle Kings to keep you in check. He doesn't have the style of a king, so how can he be an emperor? Suspicious and suspicious, this is the 5th reason." This last point stunned all the generals under the Blood Eagle King. How did this fellow know the internal matters of the Eagle Burial Kingdom? The Blood Eagle King indeed hadn't led troops in a long time. Perhaps it was because the Blood Eagle King's reputation was too big that the Eagle ruler was afraid of him. The Blood Eagle King's 2 white brows knit together. He saw that Chu Tian's words were not ordinary, so it was clear that he was an eloquent person. However, these words weren't without reason. What does the Eagle Burial Kingdom have to do with the Great Zhou country? I can easily destroy the Great Zhou country. Not necessarily. The Eagle Burial Kingdom has lost 5 times, but the 3 Kingdom Alliance has won 5 times. 5 wins? Where did these 5 wins come from? Chu Tian took a step forward. The 3 Kingdom Alliance is a power supported by the Forest Alliance. The powerful Forest Alliance is behind them, and the Forest Alliance has at least 4 powers that are not inferior to a warring kingdom. They have many Heaven Domain experts and strong reinforcements. This is the first reason. The 3 Kingdom Alliance is a power directly under Miracle City and Miracle Commerce, so Miracle Commerce will not hesitate to pay any price to protect the 3 Kingdom Alliance. We have the most advanced equipment on the continent and the most terrifying weapons on the continent. Our strength can instantly flatten a city, and our army is strong enough to move unhindered across the continent. Our military strength is strong. This is the second reason. The Blood Eagle King tightly knit his brows. Had the Forest of Chaos really formed an alliance? As for Miracle City's equipment and weapons, there was no doubt in this scroll. The 3 Kingdom Alliance is the defender and the Eagle Burial Kingdom is the invader. The Eagle Burial Army has swept through the 10 countries, creating countless blood debts. Now that the 3 Kingdom Alliance is facing the Eagle Burial Kingdom and raising their banner, no matter if it is the kingdoms near or far, even if it is the citizens of the destroyed countries, they will all come to us. Our moral strength is strong. This is the 3rd reason. Miracle Commerce has already become one of the top companies on the continent, and the Forest of Chaos has been operating in the forest for tens of thousands of years. We have enough materials, money, and supplies to fight a long war. The Eagle Burial Kingdom has been fighting for a long time. The spirit beasts are not good at farming and production, and their supplies are weak. Once we can't attack for a long time, they will be exhausted. Our foundation is strong. This is the 4th reason. The 3 Kingdom Alliance cannot retreat or hide. They are unafraid of death. They will fight with all their might against the Eagle Burial Kingdom. Their determination is strong. This is the 5th reason. Chu Tian's words. Everyone was speechless. I have to admit that your mouth is very sharp, but it can't change the fact that the Forest Alliance has fallen into a difficult situation. I think the underground powers represented by the Spider Queen have already started fighting against the Forest Alliance. Ha, ha, ha. Chu Tian's heart skipped a beat. It really was the subterranean world playing tricks, but he quickly broke out in laughter. It's just a few small spiders making small movements underground. The 4 giants of the Forest Alliance can easily suppress them. The underground powers can't destroy you. Then the Western Sea. The Blood Eagle King spoke halfway before closing his mouth. His face turned livid as he stood up with a sound. Don't let him escape. Kill him. Chu Tian revealed a look of understanding. The Western Sea Race. It was the Western Sea Race. The Eagle Burial Kingdom and the subterranean world, the 2 of them together could at most fight the Forest Alliance to a draw. If they wanted to overthrow the Forest Alliance, they had to pull in a stronger foreign power. The western side of the Forest of Chaos was connected to the sea. The famous West Sea City could be compared to Titan City and Dragon City. Only the sea race didn't participate in the fight for the forest, so they were subconsciously forgotten by people. With the Blood Eagle King's slip of the tongue, Chu Tian finally understood what the entire plan was. Chapter 571. West Sea City was a sea race city. The sea race and the forest race were two different races, so they should mind their own business. This was also why even though West Sea City was very strong, they were often ignored by the Forest of Chaos giants. This was because the sea races were not suited to living in the forest. But from a geographical point of view, they were a part of the Forest of Chaos. If West Sea City was involved, the situation would be very dangerous. West Sea City's strength was not inferior to Dragon City or Titan City. The most important thing was that West Sea City was backed by the entire sea, so as to how much strength West Sea City had hidden in the sea, this was something that no force could verify. It was a good thing Chu Tian obtained this information by accident, otherwise if West Sea City gathered enough strength, they would have infiltrated most of the areas in the forest. If they suddenly attacked at that time, the Forest Alliance would be caught off guard and they would suffer heavy losses. The Blood Eagle King's angry roar made several generals charge at Chu Tian. Each one of them was covered in spirit energy, as if they were trying to capture Chu Tian. "It's useless, it's too late." Chu Tian said with a faint smile, "I have a communication tool invented by Miracle Commerce on me, so our conversation has already been sent to Miracle Commerce's headquarters, which is Miracle City tens of thousands of kilometers away. I believe Miracle City's deployment to defend the Western Sea is all thanks to you helping me, otherwise it would have been hard to imagine the consequences." What? Everyone was shocked. From a normal point of view, even if they obtained information, sending it out wasn't an easy matter. Even if they could send it out, by the time it reached the destination, it would already be too late. Miracle City's ability to obtain information from tens of thousands of miles away could only be described as heaven-defying in this era. Regarding Miracle City and the Forest Alliance, there was no lack of information. This would give them the ability to control the entire situation in future battles. The Blood Eagle King was already filled with rage from shame. Kill him, kill him. The several generals were all true spirit cultivators, each one releasing their powerful source spirits to attack. Although they were true spirit experts, their levels weren't high. With Chu Tian's current cultivation in the 8th true spirit layer, these fellows weren't worthy of his eyes at all. All of the attacks pierced through Chu Tian's body. He stood there motionless, and the attacks were all ineffective. Chu Tian grabbed the two people blocking the way like he was grabbing chickens and casually threw them out of the tent. He took a few steps forward and looked at the Blood Eagle King. "Blood Eagle King, not to mention the fact that you can't kill me, even if you can kill me today, there is no turning back. The Eagle Monarch has been suspicious of you for many years, but he has never been able to find a reason to deal with you. I wonder how the Eagle Monarch will treat you this time." The Blood Eagle King's body was surrounded by a bloodthirsty and berserk energy. "It's like I just said, the Eagle Burial Kingdom has no chance of winning. Instead of watching the Eagle Burial Kingdom slowly fall, it would be better for us to turn weapons of war into gifts of jade and silk. Everyone can form an alliance, wouldn't that be a good thing?" Whoosh! It was almost too fast to see clearly. Chu Tian saw the Blood Hawk King turn into a blood-colored afterimage, instantly disappearing in front of his eyes. In the next instant, he appeared in front of him. An eagle claw exploded out with 10 times the speed of sound and struck Chu Tian's body. There was no doubt. The Blood Hawk King's strength was definitely in the heaven domain realm. A true spirit expert couldn't be this fast and a true spirit expert's attack power couldn't be this strong. Chu Tian's void escaping was broken and the fierce claw light shattered the starlight protecting him. 5 large rivers surged out and the claw light tore the tent to pieces. At the same time, Chu Tian's body flew into the air. So fast. When Chu Tian had this thought, the Blood Hawk King was covered in blood light and he had already charged in front of Chu Tian. 2 more claw glows fell onto Chu Tian's body. Chu Tian couldn't keep up with this speed at all, and the starlight protecting him was shattered for the first time. However, with Chu Tian's incomparably strong body, he wasn't heavily injured. Of course, this was only temporary. If he was attacked again, Chu Tian's defenses would have no meaning. Spatial jump. Chu Tian leapt into the air and disappeared within the spatial ripples, causing the Blood Eagle King's next few attacks to miss. The Blood Eagle King's hawk-like eyes swept across the surroundings, finally locking onto a position 300 meters away. With a flap of its wings, its figure flashed, leaving behind only an afterimage as it chased after Chu Tian with its fastest speed. Although the naked eye couldn't see the Blood Hawk King's speed, his divine sense could clearly feel it. When the Blood Hawk King caught up, Chu Tian condensed a jet black sword in his right hand and sent out several burning sword chi. Pang! The Blood Hawk King pulled out a blood-red blade from who knows where and actually cut through Chu Tian's sword chi with a single slash. His speed wasn't affected at all as he chased in front of him. The Blood Hawk King was a heaven domain expert, but his level wasn't that high, being around the same as ATU's. The heaven domain realm against the true spirit realm was an entire large realm. It was like the difference between clouds and mud. Therefore, there was no chance of losing, not to mention the Blood Hawk King had the Hawk God's bloodline. Dang! Chu Tian and the Blood Hawk King slashed at each other, creating a wave of energy that swept in all directions. This caused the soldiers that rushed over to fall off their horses. This was because their speed was just too fast. The normal soldiers couldn't see the speed of the two of them, they could only hear thunderous explosions coming from above their heads. From the momentum of the battle, it seemed like neither side could suppress the other. No matter if it was the generals of the Blood Eagle army that were shocked, even the Blood Eagle King himself felt this was unbelievable. Not to mention Chu Tian being in the 8th True Spirit layer, even if he was in the peak 9th True Spirit layer, the gap between the first Heaven Domain layer and the peak 9th True Spirit layer was something that couldn't be made up for. The human's cultivation wasn't high, but his battle strength was shockingly strong. Of course, in terms of strength, the Blood Hawk King still had a large advantage, but Chu Tian had too many abilities. Divine Sense, Cultivation Technique, and Physique, with the three of them combined, he could actually fight against the Blood Hawk King for over 10 rounds without losing. Of course he could only fight without losing. Chu Tian couldn't keep up with the Blood Hawk King's speed and strength at all, he could only use his divine sense to capture his movements. He used the Starlight Immortal body to block the attacks and his powerful recovery to maintain the fight. If he really couldn't do it, he would use a spatial jump to escape. It was in this kind of situation that Chu Tian could hold on for over 10 rounds without losing. A true spirit cultivator could hold on for this long against a heaven domain cultivator. This was already a feat he could be proud of. Chu Tian shouted as he retreated, "The Eagle Burial Kingdom won't succeed. If you're really proud of your Divine Hawk bloodline, then you shouldn't just watch it be destroyed." The Blood Hawk King was completely enraged by Chu Tian's shameless words. Suddenly a faint energy fluctuation came from his body and the Blood Hawk King's aura began to rise. This was the domain power of a heaven domain expert. At the same time, the Blood Hawk King activated his bloodline power. The Blood Hawk King's strength increased in a short period of time. Whether it was speed or strength, it was all hard to believe. Chu Tian didn't dare fight the Blood Hawk King in this state, so he used a spatial jump to create several hundred meters of distance. Who would have thought that Chu Tian wouldn't be able to stabilize himself? The Blood Hawk King turned into 7-8 figures that charged forward at a speed hard to see with the naked eye. This is bad. He most likely wouldn't be a match if this continued. Chu Tian knew that his strength had increased by a lot and there was no one in the true spirit realm that could match him, but his chances of winning against the Blood Hawk King weren't high. However, if Chu Tian couldn't fight him head-on, couldn't he play dirty? His eyes turned golden. Chu Tian used all his spiritual energy and divine sense in one attack, Endless Purgatory. The Blood Hawk King was caught off guard and was hit by this terrifying attack. He was stunned for a second before spitting out a mouthful of blood and falling down from the sky. No matter who looked at it, it was only a short moment, but the Blood Hawk King had been tortured in the illusion for a long time. Chu Tian's spiritual attack was sharp, but the soul of a heaven domain expert was very strong. Therefore, even if he was hit by this terrifying attack, he would only be heavily injured. But being heavily injured was enough. Chu Tian didn't expect to kill the other side, so he gave a few loud laughs. Blood Hawk King, we'll meet again. Saying this, Chu Tian activated a transport scroll. Before the others could surround him, he had already disappeared from everyone's sight. Chen Bingyu saw that Chu Tian had returned and immediately asked, "How is the situation?" "There's a harvest, but it isn't that easy to incite the Blood Hawk King. The Blood Hawk King is injured and won't be able to attack for 3-5 days, so we still have enough time." Chu Tian walked out of the Great Zhou Imperial City's transport array. The Eagle Burial Kingdom will stall for as long as possible. The biggest problem is in the Western Sea, and as long as we solve the Western Sea's problem, the plan against the Forest Alliance won't succeed. What do we do? The news of the Dark Eagle Army's defeat on the Warhound Plains will quickly spread to the Great Zhou Empire and the Eagle Burial Kingdom. The morale of the entire Eagle Burial Kingdom will suffer a heavy blow. Chu Tian said this, "We'll use this chance to spread rumors to the Eagle Burial Kingdom, saying that the Blood Hawk King is colluding with the Forest Alliance and has sold out the Western Sea's important information to me. The Blood Hawk King and the Eagle Ruler already have a grudge, so I believe that once the rumors spread, the Eagle Ruler will be afraid. At that time, the ruler and ruler will hinder each other and we can buy more time." Everything had its priorities. The Eagle Burial Kingdom was a large threat, but the worst result they could do was just capture the Great Zhou, Great Summer, and Northern Militant Kingdoms. It wouldn't have any destructive effects on the Forest Alliance. Therefore the Western Sea race was more terrifying, so Chu Tian decided to go to West Sea City. The forest races and the sea races didn't interfere with each other, hoping that this would make it easier to persuade them. Chapter 572. When Chu Tian returned to Miracle City, the young miss looked very tired. She had been gathering information without rest these past few days, and even with the help of Miracle Commerce's powerful AI system, it was still a very tiring matter. "The information you've gathered is very important, so I've sent most of Miracle Commerce's scouts to investigate. Now it has been confirmed that the sea race is involved in this battle." The young miss looked at Chu Tian and gave a soft sigh. There are large amounts of sea race soldiers secretly invading the forest from the Western Sea. Because they have chosen the water and because they are very secretive, the forest powers haven't noticed them even until now. The sea race was a large problem. No one knew just how strong the sea race was. But now that they knew that the sea race was a key part of the plan, it would be hard for a sneak attack to succeed when the forest powers were on guard. Why would the forest races fear fighting the sea race in the forest? But there was no need to fight in this kind of battle. The sea race lived in different areas from the forest races, so there was no direct conflict between them. There was no other choice, he could only go to the Western Sea. Chu Tian didn't know what method Alexis used to convince West Sea City, but he believed that what Alexis could give them, Miracle Commerce and the Forest Alliance could do the same, even giving them a better chance to cooperate. How long can the Great Zhou situation last? Because the Blood Eagle King has been injured by you, I'm afraid he won't be able to immediately adjust his army to attack. The rumors we spread have also obtained initial results. Right now, the Eagle Emperor is already suspicious of the Blood Eagle King, but this situation won't last for long. 10 days. That's enough. Chu Tian left the city lord's castle to prepare to leave. When he was about to leave after packing his luggage, he suddenly felt something. He turned around and said, "Don't be so sneaky, is there something you can't say inside?" "Humph, what kind of attitude is this?" Meng Yingying angrily jumped in. She was wearing a well-tailored elven-style short skirt. Her pair of snow-white slender legs were very dazzling. Her white and tender cheeks with a hint of blush made people feel that she was very cute and wanted to take a bite out of her. "I heard you're going to West Sea City again. Ying cares about me this much, this really moves me. Chu Tian walked over and pinched her cheek as he said with a giggle, you can be assured, I've been to places much more dangerous than West Sea City, there won't be any problems. Meng Ying rolled her eyes at her, then her large eyes sparkled as she said, who's worried about you? I've heard that West Sea City has the most beautiful mermaid clan on the continent, I'm worried for them. Don't go and harm them, otherwise I won't forgive you. Chu Tian immediately revealed a sad expression, so it was just my own wishful thinking. You see, which girl have I harmed? I didn't expect that I would be so unbearable in your eyes. We've known each other for so long, yet you treat me like this. It hurts my heart. No, I'm just saying. Meng Ying scratched her head in an embarrassed manner. She walked in front of Chu Tian and held his hand as she said, I believe in you. I don't care, the scars have already been left. Chu Tian said without mercy, then shouldn't you heal me a bit? Meng Ying's face turned red and she stood on her tiptoes to lightly kiss Chu Tian's lips. Alright, are you satisfied now? You only know how to bully me all day, do you believe that I won't tell elder sister? Chu Tian gave two loud laughs as he pulled Meng Ying into his embrace, this move won't scare me. You're already someone who's going to marry me, what can your elder sister do? That's hard to say, I won't separate from elder sister. When the time comes, What did you say? I can't hear you clearly. Meng Ying originally wanted to ask her sister to marry him as well, but when the words came to her mouth, she felt that it would be too easy for this bad guy. She could only stare at him like a landlady asking for a debt. Last time you said you were going to marry me. Now tell me, how are your preparations? This young Miss Patience is very limited. Chu Tian revealed a gentle smile, as long as you're willing, I'll immediately hold a large wedding for you that will shake the entire forest. That's more like it. Meng Ying revealed a happy smile like a little girl experiencing love for the first time. She pursed her lips and thought for a few seconds before saying, it's said that West Sea City is the most beautiful city in the Forest of Chaos. How about after you take care of West Sea City, we'll? No problem, as long as you want it, not to mention West Sea City, any place in the world is fine. After Meng Ying received Chu Tian's promise, the big stone that had been hanging in her heart was finally put down. She revealed a sweet and joyful smile, you must keep your promise. After she finished speaking, she nodded again and immediately ran away. Chu Tian saw Meng Ying's youthful and beautiful back and his heart felt very warm. Although he had lived 2 lifetimes, he didn't have any emotional experiences. Meng Ying was not the most outstanding of the women Chu Tian had seen, but she could give Chu Tian the most comfortable feeling. To have this kind of person that he could protect in the future, perhaps this was a great blessing. Chu Tian always kept his word. Since he promised to hold the wedding in West Sea City, Chu Tian had to obtain West Sea City. Miracle City had a plaza built in the middle of a mountain range. The entire plaza was paved with stone slabs, making it very smooth and clean, without any junk at all. There were several large factories around it, with large amounts of Miracle City soldiers guarding it. Boss, over here. A beautiful woman with red hair and a hot figure was waving at Chu Tian. There was a triangular metal machine behind her. It looked like it was made from a very light and sturdy material, with various runes on the surface. The front was as sharp as a needle and the back was rectangular, but it was actually a large source energy engine. Without even looking, it was clear that it was a newly invented flying machine. Nangong Yun casually introduced it to Chu Tian, our flying machine has already had initial results. Although it isn't big, it already has a very high performance. It uses Miracle Commerce's most advanced engine and source energy array technology, allowing it to reach several times the speed of sound. This already far surpasses the reaction speed of a true spirit expert, even a heaven domain expert would find it hard to intercept it in the air. How about it, it's not bad, right? Chu Tian nodded, being able to make this kind of flying machine this quickly, it truly is not bad. This is a test, it doesn't have any weapons, but the standard equipment is a medium-sized source energy cannon for destroyer heavy rifles and a full-range defensive shield. Whether it is the engine, weapons, or shield, they can all be upgraded with our technology in the future. It will definitely become Miracle Commerce's main aerial force in the future. Not bad, not bad. Chu Tian expressed his approval of everyone's work, then let me personally try it. Nan Gongyun introduced the method to operate it to Chu Tian. There are two main ways to operate this fighter plane. The first is to operate it manually or semi-manually, but because the special operating system for the fighter plane hasn't been written yet and our company has limited manpower, we outsourced it to the elves. Now we can only use the second method, which is spiritual energy control. This requires a lot of spiritual energy, but I believe in boss abilities, this kind of small matter isn't a problem at all. Chu Tian sat in the cockpit and gave Nan Gongyun a no problem gesture. He then took out a helmet covered in source energy arrays and placed it on his head. When his spiritual energy was released, it instantly covered the entire body of the aircraft, as if he and the aircraft had become one. The source energy array was activated. The engine released a faint blue glow. The triangular fighter plane broke the sound barrier and charged into the sky, disappearing from sight in just a few seconds. Nan Gongyun looked into the distance and nodded in satisfaction. This was truly a great masterpiece of miracle commerce, and Chu Tian would take this chance to test it out. After enough tests, miracle commerce could mass produce it. There could be 10,000 of these fighter planes. Even if placed on the entire continent, it would be considered a powerful force. Chu Tian sat in the cockpit and used his spiritual energy to control the fighter plane. The fighter plane continued to accelerate in a short period of time, gradually reaching 10 times the speed of sound. This fighter plane was made of very special materials. Even at this high speed, it didn't come into contact with the air and there were no flames from the friction. The anti-vibration runes on the surface also reduced the noise. Miracle Commerce's research team was becoming stronger and stronger. The small Yun sect that was established in Central State in the past had now become the strongest research organization on the continent. Perhaps there wouldn't be many people on the continent that could compare to them. Chu Tian used his spiritual energy to make various evasive maneuvers. Although he found a few small problems, the overall reaction speed was very fast. In the future battles of the continent, this kind of weapon could definitely dominate the air. As long as there were enough of them, they could deal with any air force. The entire forest kept flashing below him. There were more and more rivers and lakes in Chu Tian's vision. He knew that after several hours of flying, he was getting closer and closer to the Western Sea. The western coast was the westernmost point of the continent. Starting from the western coast, there were many continents and islands scattered across the vast sea, but as a whole, it was covered by the boundless sea. Regarding the sea, people didn't know much. They only knew that the creatures in the sea were not less than those on the ground, they were even older and stronger. The sea also gave birth to large amounts of civilizations. They were like the continent, competing with each other, occupying resources, and even forming empires. In this era, because there were enough resources and land, there was no competition between the sea and land, so naturally there was no contact between them. Therefore, both sides were very unfamiliar with each other. In the next few thousand years, there would be several important battles between the land and sea, causing the land and sea creatures to interact and change the continent's structure. Chapter 573. West Sea City, bordering the Western Sea, being built on the Crystal Bay. West Sea City was built like a crescent moon, facing a giant bay. The sea water was clear without a single impurity and there were 5 colored corals at the bottom of the sea, shining under the sunlight. Each grain of sand was transparent, like it was made from the purest crystal in the world. West Sea City was 500 meters high and there were all kinds of buildings, like the Crystal Sand Castle, the Conch House, and the Turtle Nest. There were all kinds of strange shapes, giving people a very strong foreign feeling. This was a scene that no one on the continent could see. Although West Sea City was on the edge, it was not isolated because West Sea City had opened several waterways. This allowed merchants from the coastal countries to pass through the sea to West Sea City to do business. Therefore, not only were there the voices of the sea race in West Sea City, there were also many tourists from all over the continent. Of course, these merchants did not have a way to directly enter the Crystal Bay. Around 200 miles away from the Crystal Bay, there was a giant port specially made for foreign ships to dock. Over time, it formed a small town with hundreds of thousands of people, all of which were merchants from other races that stayed here for a long time. Outside the small town, in the fisherman's port, there were countless dark golden armored soldiers standing there, like iron nails nailed to the ground. No matter what happened in the outside world, it had nothing to do with them as their eyes stared into the distance. Amidst the sky-shattering waves, a giant armored ship suddenly sailed over. This heavy black gold ship was brimming with an indescribable might. Even though it was moving at a moderate speed, it still gave off an extremely strong oppressive feeling. This made the other people who were unloading and moving goods around the port all turn aghast. The black gold warship was built on the skeleton of a flood dragon, and one of the flood dragon's heads was hanging on the bow of the ship. Its round eyes were still flashing with killing intent and madness, and the aura it exuded could even cause waves to rise in the surrounding waters. Even looking at it from afar, one would feel a heavy pressure. The Big Dry Empire. This is the Big Dry Empire's ship. The giant metal ship was still several thousand meters away from the port. 20 dark golden-robed martial artists flew out, flying across several thousand meters of water. 3 hammers fell onto the deck and each person released their aura without holding back. They were all experts in the 9th true spirit layer. If this kind of person was placed in the Forest of Chaos, even if he wasn't the city lord of a forest city, he would still be the second in command. However, on this giant metal ship, he was only a group of guards responsible for opening the way. The Great Qian Empire was extremely far away. From the terrifying cracks and broken pieces on the surface of the black gold ship, one could tell that it had experienced many fierce battles along the way. A proper human empire would have at least several billion people, with at least 2 digits of heaven domain experts and countless true spirit realm experts. A truly powerful country. All the powers in the Forest of Chaos added together could barely compete with the Big Dry Empire, but with the current situation of the Forest of Chaos, the Big Dry Empire wouldn't place this place in their eyes at all. The giant metal ship slowly reached the port and 2 servant-like old men came down. Although their clothes were simple and their posture was very humble, their eyes were deep and cold, giving off a domineering aura. The servants were like this. What kind of bearing did their master have? 2 servants and 20 high-level true spirit guards opened the way and large amounts of rare beasts came out from the large deck. There was a 400-500 cavalry formation with several dragon demon beasts pulling the chariot, swaggering in the direction of West Sea City. The Big Dry Empire's sage Yuan Shi. The people of the port seemed to recognize the identity of the newcomer. Each and every one of them respectfully knelt on the ground with a humble expression, not daring to look straight at the newcomer. Only one person was an exception. This person was wearing a plain gray robe and wore a straw bag. Although he looked very ordinary, his temperament was extremely outstanding. Every inch of skin that was exposed seemed to be condensed from jade. There was also a cute little white fox standing on his shoulder. The young man looked at the dragon carriage going away and said in a dissatisfied voice, "Damn, what kind of background does this fellow have? He can't be a bit more low-key. Keep your voice down." An old man quickly stood up and stared at him as he said, "Senior Yuan Shi is a titled sage of the Big Dry Empire. You dare speak so rudely, do you not want your life?" Sage? Was a sage that amazing? Father was a titled great sage before. Chu Tian revealed an unyielding expression. The sages of this era were not stronger than a great scholar from tens of thousands of years later. How could Chu Tian place them in his eyes? The sage Yuan Shi gradually left and the port returned to normal. The captain of the fleet, Old Mo, was very dissatisfied with Chu Tian's performance. Old Mo was a famous merchant in West Sea City, having over 100 ships that were doing business along the coast. They had met this human by chance and it was said that he had a treasure to sell to her, so they came down. Who would have thought that this fellow would be this arrogant? If he dared to offend a large character like you and she, it wouldn't be much easier to destroy a small company like him. Chu Tian could only admit his mistakes, saying that he wouldn't do it again. Old Mo was a famous merchant and the West Sea City's city lord's 500th birthday was tomorrow, so Old Mo had a chance to enter the palace to attend the banquet. Therefore, Chu Tian approached this old man to take this chance to get closer to the West Sea City's city lord. Old Mo looked over Chu Tian and said, "You said you have a treasure on you, is that true?" "Would I lie to an old senior?" "Please look." Chu Tian revealed a smile and reached into his chest, taking out a jade box. He opened the jade box and a golden fruit appeared in front of him, releasing a faint immortal spiritual energy aura, level 3 half immortal great herb, golden flood dragon immortal fruit. "Is this enough?" Everyone's attention was instantly drawn over. When everyone saw this stalk of immortal herb, all of their eyes burned with passion. Half immortal great herb, it was actually a half immortal great herb and it was level 3, it really wasn't simple. How many merchants here had seen an immortal herb before? This young man that didn't look that old had casually taken one out, how could people not be shocked? Old Mo was the most ecstatic person. He had the qualifications to enter the West Sea City's city lord's birthday banquet, which was a very glorious and valuable matter. Only, how could he not prepare a generous gift to attend the city lord's birthday banquet? Old Mo couldn't find a good enough gift for this event, so now that a rare half-immortal great herb was placed in front of him, how could he not be excited? Old Mo didn't even have time to speak. "Brat, sell this herb to me." A tall and sturdy spirit beast man walked over. "Whatever source stones this old man gives you, I'll give you the same." Old Mo was instantly anxious. "Kue Gang, you. This item belongs to me. 1,000 source stones." This spirit beast named Kue Gang had a very rude and unreasonable attitude. He looked at Old Mo as he spoke, "Whoever dares go against me, be careful of your safety in the future." Everyone revealed looks of fear. Old Mo was angry, but he couldn't do anything about it. Kue Gang was a merchant on the surface, but how could a spirit beast know how to do business? He was just the leader of a pirate group and was infamous in this place. Whoever dared to provoke him wouldn't have any peace in the future. 1,000 source stones. He wanted to buy this precious half-immortal great herb with 1,000 source stones. This was no different from forcefully taking it. Kue Gang did not place Chu Tian in his eyes at all. When he saw this fruit was already in his pocket. "Hand it over." Kue Gang's two subordinates fiercely walked in front of Chu Tian. Chu Tian said with a faint smile, "Stealing something from my hands isn't very rational." "Humph, a brat that refuses a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." One of them pulled out a knife from his waist and was about to chop off Chu Tian's arm that was holding the jade box. In the end, Chu Tian casually stretched out 2 fingers and lightly clamped down. The blade of the knife was like a pair of iron pincers, unable to move. "You dare bark with just this bit of skill?" Chu Tian's strength and spirit energy moved at the same time and the blade in his fingers shattered like glass. It was all thrown at the spirit beast, instantly creating several holes in its body. The other spirit beast wanted to run when it saw the situation was bad. Chu Tian slapped back and his entire face was shattered. He instantly flew several dozen meters and was slapped into the sea, causing his brain and blood to spray out. Kue Gang's expression fell as he prepared to release his source spirit. Chu Tian gently flicked his finger and Kue Gang's chest, flesh, and armor were all shattered by an unknown power. He fell to the ground with a pitiful cry, not having any strength to resist at all. The surrounding merchants all revealed looks of shock. Kue Gang was still a true spirit cultivator, how could he not even take a single blow? Chu Tian took care of these pieces of trash as easily as crushing ants. It was as if he had done something insignificant. He didn't even look at them as he turned to Elder Mo and said, "Now can we have a proper deal?" Everyone finally understood. This human did not have a problem with his head. He dared to reveal the treasure in front of everyone. This meant that this human had absolute confidence. From his reaction just now, he indeed had the qualifications to have this kind of confidence. Old Mo swallowed his saliva and said, "This price is too high, I'm afraid we'll have to evaluate it before making a decision." Chu Tian shook his head and said, "I can sell it to you at half price, I only have a small request." "Request? What request?" "I admire the beautiful mere people of West Sea City. This is a rare chance, I hope you can help me sneak into the West Sea City City Lord's palace." It was this simple. Naturally it was this simple. Old Mo was going to West Sea City, so bringing another follower wouldn't attract too much attention. Chapter 574. West Sea City's defenses were much tighter than Chu Tian had imagined. Therefore he had to find a reasonable reason to approach the West Sea City's city lord. West Sea City was very different from the Blood Eagle King's camp. The main reason Chu Tian dared to appear in the Blood Eagle King's camp was because the Blood Eagle King himself wasn't that strong. Chu Tian had a scroll with him so he could run away at any time. The West Sea City's city lord's strength was unknown, but according to the Elven King's information, he wouldn't be weaker than the 4 giants. Chu Tian had to be careful when dealing with this level of heaven domain expert. If he wasn't careful, he might fail the transmission. Moreover, the West Sea City's city lord was different from the Blood Eagle King. West Sea City represented a power that not only included the sea, it was also a part of the Forest of Chaos. Once their relationship with West Sea City was strained, the Forest Alliance would have many troubles in the future. Considering all these things, Chu Tian had to be careful, at least he couldn't easily anger the West Sea City's city lord. Chu Tian sold the medicine to Old Mo at a very good price and Old Mo allowed Chu Tian to temporarily enter his company, bringing him into West Sea City to experience the banquet. However, Old Mo warned him not to cause any trouble in West Sea City, otherwise no one could protect him. Chu Tian of course agreed with a laugh. In the evening, the caravan entered West Sea City. West Sea City's defenses and inspections were very strict, passing through several different kinds of barriers and restrictions. After passing through groups of sea race soldiers, they finally arrived at the center of West Sea City. The Western Sea City was a coastal city. The sea folk had constructed all sorts of structures by the sea, and some of them were even built underwater. There were all sorts of residents here. There were sluggish but sturdy turtle race warriors, vicious shark race warriors, and whale race warriors who were at least 10 meters tall. There were also countless shrimp soldiers and crab generals. In short, there were common sea races that filled the streets of West Sea City. Just like the spirit beasts, the sea races were very similar to the sea creatures, but their overall outline was more like humans. They weren't completely fish or crabs that walked on 2 legs. To be more accurate, the sea races were a combination of sea creatures and humans. West Sea City was worthy of being called the most beautiful city in the Forest of Chaos. Not only was the scenery beautiful here, there was also a unique charm to it. Compared to the extravagance of Dragon City's nouveau riche, this place was more artistic and stylish. Compared to the Eternal Forest's primitive nature, this place was more passionate and unrestrained. Let's spend the night here. An exquisite conch house appeared in front of Chu Tian. Each conch was equivalent to a 3-meter-tall house. The layout was completely in accordance with the habits of the continent's races, so he wouldn't feel uncomfortable. The West Sea City's city lord's banquet would start tomorrow. Chu Tian decided to take a stroll nearby. Do you see that huge turtle shell in front? Old Hiroshi pointed at a several dozen meter tall and several 100-meter long giant turtle not far away and said, "That is West Sea City's most famous giant turtle trading center. The Giant Turtle Commerce is West Sea City's largest company and we've all dealt with them before. If you're interested, you can take a stroll around the trading center. If your luck is good enough, you might be able to find some treasures." Interesting. Chu Tian directly went to the Giant Turtle Trading Center. The Giant Turtle Trading Center was a bit bigger than he imagined, but it looked a bit messy. This was because the Giant Turtle Trading Center was divided into two parts. One part was the Giant Turtle Commerce's intermediary and the other part was the open market. A trading intermediary referred to people who consigned goods to be sold, while a free exchange was completely open to outsiders, allowing them to set up stalls and trade freely. The products on the Giant Turtle Trading Center were all deep-sea resources. This was something that couldn't be found in the forest or inland. So absorbing West Sea City into the alliance had a very important meaning for Miracle Commerce. The little fox felt something and raised its nose to sniff. It immediately pointed in a direction for Chu Tian, indicating that there was something good there. What did you find? The little fox ran in front of a stall and the stall owner seemed to be a simple and honest turtle race person. The turtle race was tall and sturdy with short limbs. Their facial features and faces were similar to humans, but their bodies were covered in a natural hard shell. This hard shell was a part of the turtle race's body and was as important as a human skeleton. It would become more and more solid as it matured, being able to absorb and resist most attacks. The Turtle Clan's stall displayed a few miscellaneous items that had been fished out from the deep sea. Other than a few grotesquely shaped corals, there were some old items. There did not seem to be anything eye-catching, but the little fox could smell an unusual scent from one of the items. It was an extremely simple-looking bead. Chu Tian casually picked up the bead and scanned it with his divine sense a few times, finding some clues. This should be the inner core of an ancient demonic beast. Demonic beasts and demon beasts were completely different concepts, so a demonic beast's inner core had a very high value. From the aura of this inner core, it shouldn't be weaker than the void beast Chu Tian killed in the Purgatory World's spatial crack. Of course. Its surface was petrified because it had been here for too long. If one's divine sense was low, naturally they wouldn't be able to find its true value. Chu Tian gave a gentle cough and asked in human language, "How much is this stone?" The Turtle Clan member had a blank look, clearly not understanding human language. He didn't explain and took out several dozen source stones. The Turtle Clan member shook his head when he saw this. Chu Tian added a few more, but the Turtle Clan member still shook his head. The two of them used this method to haggle over the price bit by bit. When Chu Tian added 200 source stones, the Turtle Clan member finally revealed a satisfied expression. When the two sides were about to hand over the money, there was a very magnetic and pleasant female voice that came from behind them, "Slow down, I want this demonic beast's inner core." Chu Tian was instantly enraged. "Fuck, who's messing up father's matters?" A very tall woman walked over. She was over 1 meter 75 centimeters tall and had a wonderful figure. She was plump and alluring, with snow-white skin and a head of long golden hair that slightly waved down her back. Whether it was her temperament or appearance, they were all perfect. The most alluring part was her pair of long legs. This woman had a pair of crystal white legs that were like a work of art. Her figure was elegant, not too fat or too skinny. With her height, she gave off a high and mighty feeling. This woman was definitely a rare beauty in this world. "Who are you?" Chu Tian had seen many beautiful women, so he didn't lose his composure. "First come first served, do you understand? I've already bought this stone." The golden-haired beauty revealed a look of disdain. She ignored Chu Tian and directly said, "This is a 10,000-year deep-sea 8-clawed demon's inner core. It has a very high value and is very important to me. I'll pay 50,000 source stones, sell it to me." "What? 50,000? The Turtle Clan member almost thought he had heard wrong. The golden-haired beauty continued to say, "Some sly fish think they can take advantage of this, don't be fooled by them." Chu Tian's temper instantly erupted. This woman dared to look down on him. When it came to money, would father lose to her? He said without even thinking, "You're paying 50,000 source stones. All right, I'll add 10,000, sell it to me." Chu Tian took out 6 heavy bags of source stones from his storage space. The golden-haired beauty was also shocked. The Turtle Clan member felt like he had been hit by a hammer. This simple dressed human actually opened his mouth and wanted to add 10,000 source stones. For a normal cultivator, 10,000 source stones was enough for them to live a life without worrying about food. Chu Tian blinked his eyes. Can we trade now? Wait, isn't it just 60,000 source stones? The golden-haired beauty knit her brows. She took out 7 bags and placed them on the ground. I'll pay 70,000 source stones. Chu Tian took out another bag without even thinking, 80,000. The golden-haired beauty was already a bit angry. She fiercely glared at him, 90,000 source stones. 100,000. 110,000. 120,000. The two of them began to shout out their bids, gradually surpassing the inner core's price. But Chu Tian didn't care at all and didn't give in at all. He had money, so he dared to compete with me. He was simply seeking death. The golden-haired beauty's face became paler and paler. She wasn't stupid. She could see that this damn human was very rich. These 10,000 source stones didn't seem like much to him at all. The golden-haired beauty suppressed her urge to explode. She took out another bag of source stones and placed it on the ground. Her body was already trembling slightly, 150,000 source stones. This price had already been raised by 3 times. Although the inner core was very precious, it still had to be divided into different types. Void beasts were rare spatial attributed demonic beasts. It wouldn't be strange for their inner core to be sold for 1 or 2 million. This inner core was only a water-attributed demonic beast and its effects were already weakened, so this price was already very high. A trivial 150,000. Chu Tian reached into his storage bag with a look of disdain, but he was suddenly stunned. It's gone. Chu Tian remembered that he had brought 150,000 source stones with him. This was not a small amount for any person or force. He never thought that there would be a time when he didn't have enough. It just had to be gone at this time. The golden-haired beauty seemed to see Chu Tian's embarrassment and immediately said, if you can't take it out, then don't embarrass yourself. Quickly scram. I can't take it out. Chu Tian couldn't tolerate being looked down upon by a woman. Just you wait, give me a day and I'll bring the source stones back. Who's wasting time with you? The golden-haired beauty gave a snort. Just say it, are you selling or not? The Turtle Clan had already been knocked unconscious by the source stones, so it didn't matter to him how much it was. He just wanted to take the source stones and quickly run away, so he quickly completed the transaction with the golden-haired beauty. The golden-haired beauty looked at Chu Tian with disdain before turning to leave with a snort. He had lost to a woman. This was simply a great shame to Chu Tian. But what was this woman's background? She looked a bit like a human from the outside, but Chu Tian could feel an unusual aura coming from her, so she shouldn't be a human. A person that could casually take out 150,000 source stones, she definitely wasn't a simple character. Chu Tian had suffered a loss like this, so he didn't have any interest in strolling around. He could only go back to the Conch Hotel and sleep, waiting to see the West Sea City's City Lord tomorrow. Chapter 575. The West Sea City's City Lord's birthday banquet was the city's largest celebration and most solemn festival. Every West Sea City citizen or outsider was wearing their own style of bright-colored clothing when they went out. Large barrels of wine and food were sent to the bay port one after another. All kinds of fireworks lit up the night sky and the crystal lights lit up the city, filling the air with the fragrance of meat and wine as well as singing. The City Lord's 500-year birthday was naturally much more solemn than previous years. West Sea City did not have as much wealth as the Dragon City in the Dragon Ridge because West Sea City had only been built for several hundred years. The Dragon Lord Deathwing Nidhogg was an old dragon that had lived for over 10,000 years, so the accumulation of time was not something that could be easily surpassed. But West Sea City's prosperity did not lose to any city in the Forest of Chaos. The giant port was a trading center in the West Sea, allowing people from all over to do business. There was a shocking amount of goods being sent out every day. West Sea City was becoming more prosperous every day. Even if it relied on trading, it would become the most prosperous center in the area. It was not impossible for it to surpass Dragon City in terms of wealth in the future. It was because West Sea City was prosperous that when the West Sea City's city lord held his birthday banquet, people from all over would come to congratulate him and give him gifts. This once-a-year festival in West Sea City became an important time to build relationships. Old Hiroshi led Chu Tian into West Sea City's beautiful mermaid palace. Chu Tian already knew that the ruling race of West Sea City was the mermaids. This was a rare race of the sea that was filled with mystery. In the era that Chu Tian lived in, the mermaids were almost extinct. The banquet officially began. The Mermaid Palace's banquet hall could hold several thousand people at the same time. The guests were divided according to their status and status. Old Hiroshi was only a relatively famous merchant in the port, so he could be considered the lowest-ranked person here. Therefore, he was placed in the most remote area. The city lord has arrived. The conch horn was melodious and loud. Dozens of beautiful mermaid maids walked out in 2 rows, and the crowd seemed to hear the sound of waves. It was as if they were in the middle of an isolated island in the deep sea, surrounded by raging waves that could drown them at any time. Everyone knew that this wasn't a true wave, but rather the aura and pressure released by an expert in the 6th heaven domain layer. This kind of expert could be considered an expert on the continent, and there was only one in West Sea City, which was the West Sea City's city lord. However, what surprised everyone was that the one who walked out from behind such a powerful aura was actually a short and thin old woman with a face full of wrinkles and gray hair. No way, this is West Sea City's city lord. Chu Tian saw this gray-haired old woman with wrinkles all over her face and called out in surprise, "Isn't the legendary West Sea City's city lord a beautiful mermaid? She's actually an old woman. Why you?" Elder Hiroshi almost fainted from fright. He looked around frantically and said to Chu Tian, "Do you want to die?" Chu Tian shrugged his shoulders and said, "What's there to be afraid of? She can't hear us anyways." Elder Hiroshi suddenly regretted bringing this fellow in. What kind of expert is the West Sea City's city lord? Are you sure she can't hear us? I'm afraid Sir City Lord is already on the verge of death. What nonsense are you saying? Chu Tian's eyes slightly narrowed, but he didn't have any ridicule or teasing. The mermaids have a long lifespan. Normal mermaids can live for 500 years, but Heaven Domain Realm experts can live several times longer. The mermaids are mostly young, only in the last few years of their lives will they show signs of aging. This mermaid city lord is only 500 years old and is already this old. Perhaps it was caused by an external injury. Most of her energy is focused on suppressing her injuries, so how could she have the mind to listen to us? Nonsense, don't speak nonsense. Elder Hiroshi's nose almost went crooked from anger. Don't worry about this. If you keep being like this, I'll kick you out. Alright, I understand. Chu Tian rolled his eyes. It was easy to invite a god in, but hard to send him away. Since father has come here, you want to kick him out? So he bluntly added, "You old man, you really are long-winded." The old city lord slowly sat down on the throne and the birthday banquet officially began. The Dragon Hawk caravan sends 105 colored star diamonds, wishing the West Sea City's city lord a long and prosperous life. The Great Yuan Country caravan sends 10 pieces of dragon skin, wishing the West Sea City's city lord a long and prosperous life. All the distinguished guests presented their gifts. There were all kinds of dazzling treasures, almost filling up the hall. Among them, there were 8 or 9 immortal-grade treasures. Old Hiroshi's gift could only be considered average among this pile of treasures. But even like this, everyone had a whole new level of respect for old Hiroshi. A person that could casually send out level 3 half-immortal grade treasures, this wasn't something a random merchant could do. It required a great opportunity and strength. Elder Hiroshi was very excited about this. It was very important for him to be able to attract people's attention. This birthday banquet was not only for him to bask in the limelight, but more importantly, to use this opportunity to get in touch with people that he normally could not get in touch with. A businessman's social circle was often proportional to his business. Chu Tian now knew how powerful West Sea City was. Of the people that came to send gifts, there were many top merchant companies on the continent and there were many kingdom forces. From small kingdoms to large kingdoms, there were even 1 or 2 warring kingdoms mixed in. Chu Tian never would have thought that these kingdom merchants would come all the way to West Sea City to do business. When the atmosphere became more and more lively, a voice suddenly appeared and the atmosphere was pushed to the highest point. The Big Dry Empire's protector sage Yuanxi has sent 100 soul weapons and 20 level 3 immortal herbs to congratulate the West Sea City's city lord on his birthday. When this was said, everyone was stunned. The Big Dry Empire's protector sage Yuanxi had actually personally come to West Sea City to give gifts to the West Sea City's city lord. To be able to become an empire-level power on the continent, how many of them were mediocre people? The Deqian Empire was one of the strongest powers in the human world. This kind of existence could casually wipe out 5 or 8 warring kingdoms. Yuanxi was the Big Dry Empire's protector sage and also held the position of the imperial tutor. He had a high position and a noble status, perhaps even a normal king would bow to him. Now he had personally come to West Sea City to congratulate the West Sea City's city lord. Did this West Sea City's city lord have this much face? The old city lord's half-closed eyes suddenly opened. Sir Sage is too polite. This old one is just a trivial mountain stream young lord. I'm afraid I can't accept the Big Dry Empire's courtesy. Ha, ha, ha. A vigorous and powerful laugh spread through the hall. Governor Bo Shah of the West Sea's Deep Blue Empire's 4 chief envoys, how could you not accept this old man's trivial gift? While he was speaking, an extremely powerful aura burst out from the main hall, covering all directions like a scorching flame. In an instant, more than half of the aura created by the old city lord was eliminated. An old man shrouded in a halo of light walked up from below the stage. With every step he took, the light became brighter, like an immortal descending to the mortal world, giving people a feeling that it was difficult to look at him directly. Chu Tian understood that this was the domain power of a heaven domain expert. Non-heaven domain cultivators couldn't resist this power at all. This was the famous sage Yuanxi. Sage was the title of a scholar. A scholar with the title of sage was a peak talent of this era, not to mention that Yuanxi was a heaven domain expert, not being weaker than the West Sea City's city lord. He truly was worthy of being the Big Dry Empire's imperial tutor. What was even more shocking was that from Yuanxi's title, the West Sea City's city lord was likely someone from the Deep Blue Empire. Chu Tian asked in a puzzled voice, is the Deep Blue Empire very famous? You don't even know the Deep Blue Empire? Old Mo said with a frown, the Deep Blue Empire used to be the Western Sea's strongest and wealthiest sea race empire, but it fell apart in a civil war 100 years ago. Now it has split into several powers and the Deep Blue Empire only exists in name. It's said that the Deep Blue Empire has 4 envoys. Could the West Sea City's city lord be one of them? This news is too shocking. How strong was the Deep Blue Empire in the past? They never thought that it would be dismembered in the Civil War. Because of the Deep Blue Empire's collapse, the Western Sea powers lost their pillar and fell into chaos. Only the Western Sea coast was peaceful. Who would have thought that the West Sea City's city lord was one of the Deep Blue Empire's powerful envoys in the past? If this came from someone else's mouth, perhaps some people wouldn't believe it, but since it came from Yuanxi's mouth, they had no reason not to believe it. What kind of status did Yuanxi have? Was there a need to speak such nonsense? The old city lord Bo Shah's eyes flashed with a cold glow before returning to their half-closed state. With a few gentle coughs, she said, Imperial Tutor Yuan coming to my West Sea City is not just to reveal this old lady's identity. Deep Blue no longer exists. What are you dissatisfied with? City Lord has misunderstood. Yuanxi gave a few loud laughs as he continued walking forward. With each step he took, the pressure on Bo Sha increased. Before the guards even arrived, they all fell down one by one. Yuan Shi was pressuring her while saying in a gentle voice, "This old man has come to West Sea City on the Big Dry Emperor's orders to ask for a marriage." Ask for a marriage? What marriage? Chu Tian was completely stunned. It couldn't be this old woman, right? This Big Dry Emperor's appetite was a bit too heavy. Yuan Shi continued to say, "It's said that Deep Blue has a pure-blooded princess that was brought away from Deep Blue by Governor Bo Sha. Now she has become an outstanding beauty and the Big Dry Emperor lacks a concubine, so he wants to marry the Deep Blue princess. West Sea City will be protected by the Big Dry Empire and we can even help West Sea City subdue the Deep Blue Empire of the past." Impossible. Bo Sha rejected him without even thinking. This old lady understands the Big Dry Emperor's good intentions, but the Deep Blue Empire's princess cannot be married to the Big Dry Empire. I advise you to give up on this idea. Chapter 576. Yuan Shi seemed like he didn't hear Bo Sha's words. With a cold snort, his aura became even more fierce. Bo Sha felt a large pressure as her face became uglier and uglier. "Yuan Shi, do you want to lose all face in West Sea City's territory? I want to remind Your Excellency Bo Sha that your body's condition is becoming worse and worse." Yuan Shi slowly said, "Have you ever thought that if you fall, can West Sea City maintain its current prosperity? It would be better to find a large backer first. The Big Dry Empire is enough to protect West Sea City and the Mere people. Other than a marriage alliance, you have no other choice." Bo Sha's expression was cold. "You want to take over the Deep Blue Emperor's bloodline and take West Sea City without any effort? Doesn't the Big Dry Emperor think he's going too far? Even if West Sea City can't resist the Big Dry Empire, with the Big Dry Empire's distance and my sea race's advantage, it won't be easy for the Big Dry Empire to capture West Sea City." As soon as her voice fell, several dozen Mere people guards surrounded them with weapons in their hands. The sea race soldiers guarding outside the hall were all prepared to fight. Yuan Shi was a heaven domain expert, but this was someone else's territory. Moreover, West Sea City had more than one heaven domain expert and Bo Sha's strength was not weaker than Yuan Shi's. Yuan Shi was not panicked at all, rather he gave a calm cold snort. "Even if this old man gives himself up, do you dare to catch me? Too arrogant." He actually said this kind of thing. But Yuan Shi was the Big Dry Empire's imperial tutor, having a high position and a noble status. He could be ranked in the top 10 of the Big Dry Empire and was considered a character on the entire continent. Whoever dared to catch Yuan Shi would be slapping the Big Dry Empire's face. How many powers on the continent could do this kind of thing? Perhaps West Sea City didn't have the courage. The sea race guards looked at each other in blank dismay, not daring to make a move. Bo Sha's injuries were very serious and if they really fought, she definitely couldn't beat Yuan Shi. If Yuan Shi made a move against her at this distance, perhaps Bo Sha wouldn't be able to dodge. The most important thing was that West Sea City was like Yuan Shi said, perhaps they didn't have the courage to capture the Big Dry Empire's imperial tutor. The guests looked at each other and kept quiet out of fear. This was a good birthday banquet and celebration, but because of Yuan Shi, who would dare to meddle in the business of the Big Dry Empire? They could only pretend that they didn't hear anything and just ate and drank. Yuan Shi was very satisfied with the deterrence he had created, so his attitude became even stronger. "I might as well tell you honestly. The Big Dry Emperor needs a descendant with the Deep Blue Emperor's bloodline and West Sea City is the most important location the Big Dry Emperor is interested in, playing a crucial role in the Big Dry Empire's strategy. The Big Dry Emperor's decree is here, whoever dares to go against it, stand out if you have the ability." Yuan Shi didn't seem ready to be polite. Actually, with the strength of the Great Qian Empire, there was no need to be polite. As a result, Yuan Shi bluntly said it out loud. As long as one had a normal brain, no one would go against an emperor. This was the greatest power of this continent. "I have an opinion." Just as everyone was silent, an abrupt voice came from the edge of the hall. The moment this voice appeared, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Space began to fluctuate. A very simple-dressed young man suddenly appeared between Yuan Shi and Bo Sha. Even if he was being pressured by the auras of two heaven domain experts, his expression didn't change at all. It was like he wasn't facing two heaven domain experts, but rather two statues that wouldn't move. Innate spatial energy. Everyone's expressions changed. But compared to this young man's innate talent, what was even more shocking was his courage. Did he not know what appearing here meant? This kind of normal-looking human actually dared to go against the Big Dry Empire's country protector sage. Yuan Shi knit his brows and a dignified aura came out. A powerful pressure completely locked onto Chu Tian, but he was disappointed. Chu Tian could face a titan or a giant dragon, not to mention this old man. Who are you? Yuan Shi looked over Chu Tian a few times. To be able to remain calm without changing his expression, this young man was not a normal person. There are some matters that a nobody like you cannot care about. This one is Miracle City's City Lord Chu Tian, a special envoy of the Forest Alliance. I've come to see the West Sea City's City Lord to discuss the matter of the alliance. Chu Tian gave a simple introduction which made Bo Sha's eyes slightly glow. Chu Tian calmly took 2 steps back and forth. West Sea City belongs to the Forest of Chaos, so it will become a part of the Forest of Chaos sooner or later. I don't care about the Big Dry Empire or the Sage. Anyone that dares touch West Sea City is going against the Forest Alliance. Do you think I should care about this matter or not? Arrogant brat, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Yuan Shi's face sunk. You and I are only several feet apart. This old man can easily kill you. Is that so? Perhaps. Chu Tian's voice changed, but City Lord Bo Sha won't let you do this. Bo Sha was stunned. Was there something wrong with this brat's head? Otherwise how could he be so sure that West Sea City would protect him? Since he was someone from Miracle City, he must have known that West Sea City was preparing to send several 100,000 sea race elites to attack the Forest of Chaos. Otherwise why would he come here? Since he knew about this matter, he should know that Miracle City and West Sea City were irreconcilable enemies. Because I can save City Lord Bo Sha. Chu Tian did not hide it at all. City Lord Bo Sha's injuries are not incurable. When these words were said, everyone was shocked. Especially Yuan Shi and Bo Sha. The reason why Yuan Shi dared to be this arrogant was because Bo Sha was already a lamp without oil. She only had 5 years left to live and there was no one else in West Sea City that could take over, so Bo Sha didn't dare easily offend a power like the Big Dry Empire. If Bo Sha's injuries could really be healed, would she still be this afraid of Yuan Shi? Even if West Sea City couldn't compare to the Big Dry Empire, the distance between West Sea City and the Big Dry Empire was too far. No matter how strong the Big Dry Empire was, they couldn't reach West Sea City. Was it easy to swallow West Sea City? Yuan Shi gave a cold laugh after a short moment of shock. Do you know what Bo Sha was injured by? Even this old man doesn't dare say it can be cured. Who do you think you are? Could it be that you can compare to this old man? This old man was very proud. But he had the capital to be proud. Yuan Shi was a sage. His knowledge was beyond what a normal person could imagine. If an empire's sage couldn't do it, how could a country bumpkin that crawled out from who knows where do it? Wasn't this a giant joke? Since Sir Sage is so confident, how about we make a bet? Chu Tian looked at Yuan Shi with a smile. If I can cure City Lord Bo Sha, I ask you to scram out of this city. Seeking death. Yuan Shi didn't even say anything before his followers flew into a rage, wanting to attack Chu Tian. Even the Big Dry Empire's emperor had to be polite to Yuan Shi, so who did this fellow think he was to be this arrogant? Pang! A gentle wave surged out. The 2 followers were instantly pushed to the side. City Lord Bo Sha gave 2 soft coughs and said, since City Lord Chu Tian is so confident, why don't you let him give it a try? Yuan Shi didn't believe that Chu Tian could cure Bo Sha at all. With a cold smile, he said, and if you can't do it? As you wish. Alright, This old man will open his eyes today. Old man, open your eyes wide and look. Chu Tian's eyes fell onto West Sea City's city lord Bo Sha. This city lord came from afar in a hurry, so I didn't bring any gifts. Then I'll give this to Sir City Lord Bo Sha. If I'm not wrong, City Lord Bo Sha should have been hit by a kind of deathfire curse. This curse can continuously corrode one's vitality and it will also produce poison during this process, so Sir City Lord's body has already withered. You can only absorb the essence of a demonic beast's inner core to maintain your vitality, am I right? Yuan Shi tightly knit his brows. City Lord Bo Sha revealed a look of shock. Not to mention Yuan Shi, even City Lord Bo Sha didn't have any hope, but she never thought that this human would see through the problem with a single glance. What made Yuan Shi feel strange was that how could Bo Sha's injuries be judged from her appearance? This didn't make sense at all because there were many reasons for people to age early, so how could he immediately think of a curse? Actually Chu Tian wasn't a prophet. The reason why Chu Tian could make this kind of judgment was mostly because of the golden-haired beauty he met yesterday. Chu Tian had already felt it at the time. The golden-haired beauty was not a human and if he didn't guess wrong, she was a mermaid. Moreover, from the aura she was releasing, this mermaid's bloodline and strength were not normal. It was very likely she was an important person in West Sea City and it was very likely she was the deep blue princess that Yuan Shi wanted to bring back to the Big Dry Emperor as his concubine. The inner core that the two of them were fighting over, its main effect was recovery. Looking at it like this, it was very likely this woman was buying the inner core for the city lord, so she didn't hesitate to raise the price. Seeing City Lord Bo Sha's current condition, Chu Tian made a bold guess. Even if he didn't guess correctly, it wasn't far off. Chu Tian suddenly revealed a bad smile. He cleared his throat and said, City Lord Bo Sha's injuries aren't hard to treat, but I found a 10,000-year-old 8-claw demon in the market yesterday that would be very helpful to the city lord's injuries. When I was about to buy it, who would have thought that an ugly and malicious woman would appear and steal the inner core with her wealth? Otherwise, if I had this inner core in my hands today, my chances of success and treatment would be much higher. Chapter 577. West Sea City, Mermaid Palace. A seductive and alluring figure was swimming in the huge pool. Her figure was seductive and full of elegance. She slowly moved and finally came to the shore. Her golden hair was scattered, but it was unable to cover her seductive and mature figure. This was a country-destroying beauty, but she was not a human. Her upper body was no different from a human, but her lower body was that of a fish. The scales of the mere people were different. Most of them were blue, black, or red, with a few rare silver scales. This mermaid beauty had golden scales and each one was releasing a brilliant glow. Only the bloodline of the Deep Blue Empire's emperor had this color. The more golden the scales, the stronger the bloodline. This mermaid beauty was clearly a direct descendant of an emperor clan. That's right. She was the Deep Blue Empire's princess. Although she knew of her background, she didn't know much about the Deep Blue Empire because ever since she could remember, the Deep Blue Empire had already begun to collapse. Although she was a pure-blooded mermaid of an emperor clan, she had never enjoyed the life of an emperor clan. She had been raised by Bo Sha in West Sea City since she was young. The Deep Blue Empire only had a simple understanding from rumors and people's sighs. Towards her background, her bloodline, and her family's glory, she did not care about it at all. Living a happy and rich life in West Sea City was already enough. The only thing she was worried about was that when Grandma Bo Sha brought her out of the Deep Blue Empire, she had experienced a bitter battle and suffered very serious injuries. Now she was like a lamp without oil, on the verge of death. How could she cure Grandma Bo Sha? The demonic beast's inner core essence could slow down the exhaustion, but it couldn't change this situation. Your Highness Princess Jean Luo. A mermaid maid came in, the city lord wants you to quickly come over. Grandma Bo Sha actually called her over. This was not normal. Jin Luo's status was special and countless people were drooling over the Deep Blue Empire's bloodline, therefore Bo Sha would never let Jin Luo appear in formal occasions to avoid unnecessary trouble. Especially today, it was said that a large character from a human empire had come and it was most likely for her. It was because of this that she couldn't easily appear. Now Grandma Bo Sha was taking the initiative to call her over. Something must have happened. I'll be right there. Jin Luo's body glowed with a golden brilliance as a hazy layer of energy covered her body, causing her golden hair to flutter. Jin Luo's lower body began to gradually change, and the fish scales actually disappeared. Two slender snow-white legs gently fell to the ground, like the most perfect art in the world, making people want to collect and protect them. The form of the mermaid clan was not fixed. What was a mermaid? They were both humans and fish. True high-level mermaids could freely switch between human and fish state. Jin Luo's current state was not transformed by a secret technique, but rather she had truly turned into a human form with a normal body structure. Jin Luo was neatly dressed, escorted by several mermaid guards to the banquet hall. Countless people's eyes were drawn over. There were few people in West Sea City who knew the identity of this deep blue princess. Seeing her at this moment, they were all stunned. Jin Luo was not used to being the center of attention, especially when there was a group of people in the crowd that made her feel a strong sense of oppression and threat. Needless to say, it was obvious. It had to be the Big Dry Empire's Yuan Shi and the others. Jin Luo slightly knit her brows. When she was prepared to speak to Bo Sha, her eyes suddenly popped out because the person standing next to Bo Sha was no one else, it was the despicable human she met yesterday. Why are you here? Jin Luo instantly felt her teeth itch. It was this bastard that made her spend so many source stones yesterday. I haven't even settled this debt with you and you've already appeared. Jin Luo, don't be rude. Bo Sha gave a few soft coughs. This is Miracle City's city lord, Chu Tian. Jin Luo's mind instantly turned blank. Chu Tian. This was Chu Tian. Miracle City was very famous in the Forest of Chaos. There weren't many people in this area that didn't know of Miracle City's existence. This city was like its name, filled with miracles. In just a short year, it had already become an important existence that could influence the entire forest. Chu Tian revealed a faint smile when he saw Jin Luo. As expected, it was this woman. Chu Tian put away his smile and gave two soft coughs. Your Highness Princess Jin Luo, I never thought that I would meet you in this kind of situation. I won't say anything unnecessary, take out the 8-claw demonic beast's inner core now. You. Jin Luo was almost seething with anger at this bastard. Jin Luo, give it to him. City Lord Bo Sha gave a few soft coughs and said, City Lord Chu Tian said that he can cure my injuries. It's just a trivial demonic beast's inner core, it is not worth mentioning to my West Sea City. The anger on Jin Luo's face disappeared a bit, but there was a look of deep doubt, just based on you? I think you're speaking nonsense. Your Highness, your words aren't right. We are grasshoppers on the same rope right now. When Chu Tian said this, he still had a smile on his face, without any sense of urgency. Do you see this, Sir Sage? He came from the Big Dry Empire to capture you and make you their emperor's concubine. Jin Luo's expression changed. What? City Lord Bo Sha is seriously ill, I'm afraid she doesn't have the strength to protect you. But you don't need to worry, our sage has made a bet with me. If he can cure Bo Sha's illness on the spot, then Sir Sage will leave. I believe with the sage's identity, he wouldn't go back on his words. Chu Tian looked at Jin Luo and continued, I've even pawned my life, shouldn't you thank me properly? Jin Luo was stunned for a while. She first looked at Yuan Shi and then at Bo Sha. From their reactions and expressions, could it really be like this? Chu Tian did not have any relationship with her, so why would he take this kind of risk? Jin Luo had no choice but to give the 8-claw monster's inner core to Chu Tian. That's more obedient. Chu Tian weighed the inner core in his hand and nodded with satisfaction. He casually threw it to the little fox on his shoulder. The little fox held the inner core and bit into it, biting off a large piece of it on the spot. Everyone was dumbfounded. This guy must be crazy. He went through so much trouble to get this inner core, but in the end, he just casually threw it to his pet to eat. Jean Luo felt like she had been tricked. Bastard. You liar. Everyone felt like they had been tricked. Yuanxi had a cold smile on his face, looking forward to how this clown would end up. I'm sorry, yesterday's matter was like a stone in my chest, making me feel very uncomfortable. Now that the gloom has disappeared, it will be much easier, so I didn't lie to you. Chu Tian waved his hand and said, let's begin. Chu Tian directly listed out a large list of materials. These materials were very precious, but they weren't rare. West Sea City could still find most of them, but this was already enough. Chu Tian took out a pill furnace that he carried with him, threw all the ingredients inside, and immediately began to refine pills. Yuanxi couldn't help taunting him when he saw this. If City Lord Bo Sha's old illness could be solved this easily, perhaps it wouldn't be up to a nameless person like you to make a move. Don't speak too early. Chu Tian controlled the pill furnace to refine as he said, the great Tao is simple. Sometimes complex problems can be solved with simple methods. Open. Chu Tian suddenly opened the pill furnace and took out two things. One was a small branch and the other was a small piece of crystal bone. After the two things were thrown into the pill furnace, he began to refine again. Suddenly a vigorous life force was released from the pill furnace. This made Yuanxi's eyes turn serious. He didn't know what materials Chu Tian had just added, but he didn't need to think to know that these two materials were not normal. After another quarter of an hour, Chu Tian's pill furnace was finally completed. A pill covered in golden green stripes finally appeared in front of him. Not only did this pill contain a powerful life energy, but it also contained some kind of very mysterious energy. City Lord, please take this pill. Everyone was stunned. This fellow wasn't joking, right? City Lord Bo Sha's injury wasn't just a day or two, it had been over 100 years. In these 100 years, her life had been flowing away 3-4 times faster than normal. This was also why she could have lived for 1,000 years, but she was only 500 years old and was already on the verge of death. This kind of life force flowing away could be considered permanent and only high-grade immortal herbs could change it. Not to mention that Bo Sha's body was still being corroded by the curse, so even a strong enough immortal herb wouldn't be able to use it. The materials Chu Tian used were precious, but most of them were sacred herbs that were easy to collect. It couldn't change Bo Sha's current situation no matter what. Yuanxi suddenly felt this was very funny seeing this. He actually made a bet with this kind of idiot. This would simply become a large stain on the life of a respected sage like him. Jean Luo also stared with wide eyes. Although she didn't believe it from the start, after hearing that Chu Tian was Miracle City's city lord, she still had a trace of hope. This person could create a miracle like Miracle City in the Forest of Chaos, perhaps he could create a miracle here as well. Who would have thought that Chu Tian would be playing around like this? A pill with normal materials and a short duration, how could it solve Grandma Bo Sha's 100-year-old illness? Is City Lord Chu Tian playing around with this old woman? Bo Sha's eyes turned a bit cold. Could it be that everyone here is an idiot? Chu Tian was filled with confidence as he crossed his arms. If City Lord Bo Sha doesn't believe in Chu Tian, then this one can make a bet with you. What bet? If this medicine doesn't work, my Miracle City will belong to you. When Chu Tian said this, Bo Sha's eyelids slightly jumped up. Although she wasn't someone from the Forest of Chaos, she knew the value of Miracle City. Chu Tian then said, if this medicine is effective, I don't want your West Sea City. As long as you immediately withdraw your troops in the Forest of Chaos and West Sea City will join the Forest Alliance, what do you think? Chapter 578. In the Forest of Chaos, there were at least several 100,000 sea race elites. This was a force that couldn't be ignored. While the Forest Alliance was busy fighting the subterranean world's spirit insects, this hidden army could stab them in the back at any time. It was a large threat, enough to cause quite a bit of damage to the Forest Alliance. Chu Tian's most important task in coming to West Sea City was to persuade the West Sea City's city lord to retreat. Of course Bo Sha knew Chu Tian's goal and was very surprised by Chu Tian's courage. This young man dared come to West Sea City alone and bet Miracle City with Bo Sha without a change of expression. This was not just confidence in himself, it was simply like victory was in his grasp, there was no suspense at all. City Lord Chu Tian is this courageous, then this old lady will make this bet with you. I ask City Lord Bo Sha to take this pill. Bo Sha didn't waste any words. She first took the pill and looked it over a few times. Although she didn't know what effect this pill had, just from the method of refining it, it was simply flawless. Just based on this point, it could at least prove that Chu Tian was an alchemy master. Chu Tian saw that Bo Sha was still looking at the pill and said with a smile, City Lord doesn't need to worry, I wouldn't dare poison you. Chu Tian wasn't a fool. If Bo Sha was killed, then he would die. Wouldn't West Sea City and the millions of sea race soldiers swarm into the forest of chaos? Bo Sha swallowed the pill and immediately felt every corner of her body being covered by a strange energy. She suddenly felt like the spring sun was melting the snow. The curse energy that was like maggots in her bones was actually disappearing at an unbelievable speed with the help of this energy. At the same time that the power of the curse dissipated, an exuberant life force once again radiated from his body. The life force that had been rapidly drained over the years actually began to recover at a slow speed. All of this happened naturally, without any twists and turns. It was simply an instant effect. Everyone was stunned to find that Bo Sha's old face suddenly regained a bit of vitality. The old tree bark-like skin was like cracked ground, slowly regaining a bit of elasticity and vitality. A miracle. This was simply a miracle. This is impossible. Yuan Shi couldn't believe his eyes. Chu Tian had casually concocted a pill, and it actually produced an effect. Not only did it produce an effect, but it was also an instant effect. Unless it was a legendary divine medicine, but how was that possible? Nothing is impossible in this world. Lord Sage should learn more and read more books. Chu Tian's voice was filled with ridicule. Others needed to give Yuan Shi face, so he didn't care about this old man. Since the gift I gave to City Lord Bo Sha is effective, then I've won this bet. Sir Sage should keep his promise. Yuan Shi was furious. Ignorant child, you dare to be like this, if you bet, you must accept your loss. Jean Luo immediately shouted excitedly, we have so many people watching. Bo Sha forcefully suppressed the wild joy in her heart. She seemed to have enough confidence now, if Imperial Teacher Yuan goes back on his word, perhaps it will stain your sage name. What could Yuan Shi do? Once Bo Sha's injuries were healed, the threat he posed would be greatly reduced. West Sea City would be led by Bo Sha for at least the next few decades, and how could West Sea City under Bo Sha's leadership be easily taken by others? The threat and pressure the Big Dry Empire posed to West Sea City would be greatly reduced. He never thought this brat would have such a method. If he knew this earlier, he would have just made a move and there wouldn't have been this much trouble. Good, 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 truly a young hero. Yuan Shi knew that he couldn't gain any advantages in West Sea City. With a cold snort, he waved his sleeve and left. This old man congratulates City Lord Bo Sha on her recovery. We still have matters to attend to, so we'll be leaving first. Take care, we won't send you off. Yuan Shi knew that staying here was just asking to be humiliated, so he left with his servants and the committee. This respected empire's sage was actually defeated in front of Chu Tian. Everyone revealed a look of disbelief. Everyone looked at Chu Tian with a fanatical look in their eyes. Something that even a sage couldn't do was actually easily solved by him. Could it be that this young man was even stronger than a sage? Of course, in terms of knowledge, 10 Yuan's eyes added together couldn't compare to a single Chu Tian. Chu Tian indeed had many ways to cure Bo Sha, but this time he had used a trick. In the process of refining the pill, he added two things. One was the Tree of Life's branch and the other was the Divine Bone's essence. The Divine Bone's essence could easily break all curses and the Tree of Life's branch could restore a portion of the overdrawn life energy. It was because of this that he could obtain an immediate effect. This was a very pleasant surprise to Bo Sha. Originally, she could only hold on for 2 to 3 years at most. Uncle Sha wanted to use these 3 years to gather resources and materials from everywhere. He wanted to train Jean Luo at all costs so that she would have enough strength and ability to become the city lord after he passed away. This was also the main reason why West Sea City attacked the Forest of Chaos. This was because the subterranean world promised Bo Sha that the subterranean world would hold back the Forest Alliance's main force. All the spoils of war the sea race obtained would belong to West Sea City and the subterranean world wouldn't take a single one. This kind of cheap matter, West Sea City had no reason not to do it. Chu Tian's appearance. Everything was filled with variables. City Lord Bo Sha ended the banquet early and directly brought Chu Tian to the discussion hall. From now on, the two of them would talk as city lords. Let's cut the long story short. Chu Tian sat in a comfortable position in the hall, holding a cup of tea in his hand as he spoke in a very casual tone. I hope that West Sea City can join the Forest Alliance. I believe that as long as West Sea City joins, all the large and small towns on the western sea coast will become members of the alliance. At that time, the Forest Alliance will be a superpower that covers the Eternal Forest, the Savage Highlands, the Giant's Mountain Range, the Dragon's Ridge, and the Western Sea. Adding in the other kingdoms and the riches of the underground purgatory world, even the strong Big Dry Empire would have to be wary of us. City Lord Bo Sha was not in a rush to make a choice. West Sea City is free to do whatever they want, they don't like being restricted at all. We are also a sea race, so joining an alliance made of forest races is a bit inappropriate. Chu Tian said, the Forest Alliance might be a bit of a restriction, but compared to the benefits, this restriction isn't even worth mentioning. As for City Lord Bo Sha's concerns, it isn't worth mentioning at all. The Forest Alliance isn't afraid of complexity or diversity, it's just afraid of not being complex enough. West Sea City will be the first sea race power to join us, I believe we can seize the initiative. City Lord Bo Sha softly said, words are no proof. Chu Tian knew that it wouldn't be easy to convince this fellow. Unless he could take out some benefits to move her, why would West Sea City join the Forest Alliance? West Sea City itself wasn't weak and there were still remnants of the Deep Blue Empire, which was enough to form a strong sea race army. It was enough to make the Forest Alliance suffer. Has City Lord Bo Sha always had doubts? Chu Tian suddenly changed the topic. Why do I dare appear in West Sea City like this and even dare to contradict Yuan Shi without any hesitation? Bo Sha said, I'd like to hear the details. Because there is this. Chu Tian placed a scroll on the table. This is Miracle City's exclusive invention, the Space Transport Scroll. If you meet any danger you can't solve, you can instantly teleport away as long as you activate the scroll. No matter how many soldiers your West Sea City has or how strong Yuan Shi is, at least I'm not worried about him escaping. There was actually this kind of thing. Bo Sha revealed a shocked expression. Chu Tian's next words shocked Bo Sha even more. I won't hide it from you, it isn't just Miracle City, there are several dozen transport towers in the forest, basically covering the areas of the 4 great powers. This also means that we can use these transport towers to travel between us in real time. Bo Sha fell into deep thought. These transport towers are just the tip of the iceberg for the Forest Alliance. The 4 great forest forces are actively accepting this technology, so they will wildly expand in a short period of time. Even outside the forest, even in the purgatory world, there will be territories for us. This is also the reason why the subterranean world is so hostile towards us. When Chu Tian said this, his voice suddenly changed. The 4 great powers are advancing by leaps and bounds, only West Sea City is standing still. What does City Lord Bo Sha have to compete with the Elven King and the Dragon Lord? I'm afraid the forest will be unified in half a year and the West Sea City will be pushed out of the profit pie. May I ask if City Lord Bo Sha is willing? Bo Sha was already silent. Chu Tian felt that he had said enough, so he stood up and pulled out several documents. This is the current situation of the Forest Alliance and the development of the four great powers. I hope City Lord Bo Sha can give me a reply as soon as possible. That's all I have to say, I'll be leaving first. After Chu Tian said this, he really swaggered off. This document recorded Miracle City's potential in detail, as well as the changes made by the various giants. There were factories being built and banks being opened. It was a dazzling variety that shocked people. The Eternal Forest that had worked with Miracle City the longest was a model. The Eternal Forest had already developed various new era industries, like matrix programming, and etc. This would give the elves a place in the future. As long as Bo Sha had a bit of a brain, she would understand the benefits. As long as Bo Sha was a normal person, she wouldn't be able to resist this kind of temptation. Chapter 579. There was a large pile of information. This was all summarized by the young miss. Because there was too much information, Bo Sha personally looked over some important information about the Forest Alliance. As for Miracle Commerce's history, growth, and etc., they were all given to Jean Luo to look over. Jean Luo had bought some Miracle Commerce products from the forest merchants before. There was even a phonograph and video player in her room which were Jean Luo's favorite things. Therefore Jean Luo was filled with interest towards Miracle Commerce. Only Miracle Commerce had risen too fast and the forest tribes didn't know how Miracle Commerce had risen. This matter had always been an unsolved mystery in the Forest of Chaos. This information was top-secret information. Jean Luo wanted to use this chance to understand Miracle Commerce. It had to be known that Meng Qingwu was very meticulous, so this information was very strict, not having a single bit of falsehood. From the creation of Miracle Commerce to the creation of the Forest Alliance, Jean Luo could find it all in this information. She spent an entire night carefully studying it. Each of Miracle City's technological breakthroughs, each of Miracle City's new inventions, and each of Miracle City's milestones were all clearly recorded in this information. After Jean Luo finished reading the history of Miracle Commerce, it was like she was reading Chu Tian's biography. This was because the entire Miracle Commerce's growth and breakthrough were all related to Chu Tian, even Chu Tian had directly pushed them forward. Could it be that this human's intelligence was endless? Otherwise, how could all of this be explained? When Jean Luo excitedly finished reading the information, the sky outside was already bright. Bo Sha came to Jean Luo's room. What do you think? I think that Miracle Commerce is not creating a business empire, rather it wants to completely change the structure of this world. Its potential is so large that it surpasses your imagination. Jean Luo said with an expectant look, the sea races side is still blank right now. If we can start earlier than the other sea races, we will definitely have a bright future. I think we can cooperate with them. Bo Sha nodded. Jean Luo's words weren't wrong. She had seen the current structure and situation of the Forest Alliance. Although the alliance was a whole, there was room for everyone. Each member was restricted by the highest laws of the alliance, but they had their own laws that suited them, so it could be said that they were rather open-minded. If West Sea City could enter the Forest Alliance, would they be afraid of the Big Dry Empire? Bo Sha thought for a few minutes before saying, Your Highness, this old lady has an idea, I wonder what you think. Jean Luo was a bit stunned. What does Grandma Bo Sha think? Bo Sha said a few words to Jean Luo and Jean Luo's face instantly turned red. She never thought that Bo Sha would make this kind of decision, so she was at a loss for what to do. Let's invite City Lord Chu Tian into the palace first. The guards received the order and left. An hour later, when Chu Tian returned to the Mermaid Palace, Bo Sha placed 5 plates in front of him. Each plate had the head of a spirit insect and each one was fresh, so they should have just been killed. Chu Tian was taken aback. These are the contacts and secret agents of the subterranean world placed in West Sea City. Bo Sha had killed all the subterranean world's people at once, which clearly showed her attitude. Whether or not they allied with the Forest Alliance, West Sea City had already cut off their relationship with the subterranean world. This was what Chu Tian wanted to see, so Chu Tian's goal had already been achieved. Chu Tian let out a sigh of relief. City Lord Bo Sha has made the right choice. It was probably because the treatment's effects had been shown to its greatest extent. 80% of the wrinkles on Bo Sha's face disappeared and her skin regained its elasticity. Her withered body was once again filled with vitality and her gray hair was now a bit darker. Of course, because her injuries were too serious, it was hard for City Lord Bo Sha to return to her youthful state. However, compared to her old appearance from before, the current City Lord Bo Sha could be considered a middle-aged woman and could not be compared to the past. Jean Luo didn't appear by Bo Sha's side, rather she was listening on the side. After Jean Luo learned of Chu Tian's identity and actions, she already had a whole new level of respect for this human. Only the matter that Grandma Bo Sha mentioned was a bit hard for her to say, so she could only hide on the side. How many more miracles could Miracle City create? How strong was Miracle City's potential? If West Sea City became a member of the Forest Alliance, there would definitely be benefits. These heads are just a reward for curing my illness. West Sea City promises not to attack the Forest Alliance. City Lord Bo Sha slowly said, as for the matter of West Sea City joining the Forest Alliance, we have already considered it. West Sea City can join the Forest Alliance, but the City Lord must satisfy an additional condition of ours. An additional condition? 5 or 10 wasn't a problem. He came to West Sea City this time to stop West Sea City from sending troops, but now he had unexpectedly arranged for West Sea City to join the Forest Alliance. This could be considered an extra harvest. What condition could City Lord Bo Sha give? It was nothing more than giving West Sea City some benefits during the negotiations. Chu Tian believed he had a way to negotiate this. West Sea City joining the alliance was very important. With West Sea City joining the alliance, the Forest Alliance would be completely stabilized. Chu Tian didn't even think about it as he straightforwardly said, there is no harm in City Lord Bo Sha speaking directly. City Lord Chu Tian is young and promising, with profound knowledge. He is worthy of being a great sage, his future is limitless. City Lord Bo Sha first flattered Chu Tian before revealing her true intentions. Jean Luo is the Deep Blue Empire's pure-blooded princess and has already matured. The Mare people are lacking talents and there is no one worthy of her, so why don't we betroth her to City Lord Chu Tian? On one hand, we can find a good home and on the other hand, we can stabilize the relationship between the West Sea Alliance and the Forest Alliance. What? Chu Tian thought that Bo Sha would fight for some benefits for West Sea City, but he never would have dreamed that she would give this kind of condition. If Chu Tian married this mermaid princess in West Sea City, he would be torn to 18 pieces by the sisters Meng Yingying and Meng Qingguo when he returned to Miracle City. No, no. Chu Tian quickly shook his head and refused, forgive me for offending you, but I am a traditional human and don't like mixing with other races, especially the sea races, so I cannot accept this request. City Lord Bo Sha's face turned serious. Jean Luo is the Deep Blue Empire's princess, which part of her isn't worthy of you? Chu Tian's stance was firm, to be honest, I already have a fiancé, I'm afraid I can't accept this. Sir City Lord is a rare genius, as long as you marry Princess Jean Luo, it is completely understandable for you to take a few more concubines. Bo Sha coldly said, West Sea City has good intentions and the Deep Blue Empire's dignity and honor cannot be rejected or insulted. If City Lord does not accept, this old lady cannot agree to join the alliance. Damn, you're actually using this to force me. Father hates being threatened the most. Chu Tian's temper immediately rose, this City Lord will marry whoever he wants, there is no need for others to arrange it for me. If City Lord Bo Sha wants to force me, we don't have anything to talk about, so I'll take my leave first. His goal had been achieved. Bo Sha had killed the people of the subterranean world, basically announcing that she had broken off relations with the subterranean world. As for joining the alliance or not, she wasn't in a rush. Chu Tian took out a space scroll and was about to leave. Who would have thought that at this time, Bo Sha would coldly hit the ground with her staff and it would spread out like a wave. Chu Tian had just taken out the scroll when he felt a giant wave coming at him. The scroll was instantly swept away and fell into City Lord Bo Sha's hands. Chu Tian was already a bit angry. Does City Lord Bo Sha really have to do this? If City Lord Chu Tian doesn't agree to West Sea City's conditions, then I can only ask the City Lord to stay in West Sea City for a few more days to think about it. Bo Sha did not say anything else. Someone, take City Lord Chu Tian away and let him calm down. Chu Tian's cultivation had already been suppressed by Bo Sha. After all, Bo Sha was a 6th heaven domain layer expert, so the gap was too large. Chu Tian had no way of resisting in front of her, so all his scrolls were taken away. Under the lead of several sea race experts, he was placed in a room. City Lord Bo Sha's meaning was clear. Want to leave? Then get married. Otherwise he would stay in West Sea City for the rest of his life. Chu Tian had thought of countless possibilities before coming to West Sea City, but he never thought that he would be trapped by this matter. He couldn't help having a bit of doubt. Was it wrong to be too handsome? The mermaid princess was indeed a country-toppling beauty, an outstanding beauty. This kind of forced marriage was something Chu Tian couldn't accept. Moreover, Bo Sha was in a rush to marry Jean Luo to Chu Tian. On one hand, it was because she liked Chu Tian and Miracle City's potential, and on the other hand, it was to divert the conflict with the Big Dry Empire. But no matter what goal she had, this kind of marriage was not pure. Not to mention Meng Yingying waiting to marry at home. Even if there wasn't Meng Yingying, Chu Tian wouldn't accept it. No one could force Chu Tian to do something he didn't want to do. Chu Tian began to plan his escape after being placed in house for 2 days. Although his cultivation was sealed, his physical strength was still there. If they really fought, he could fight anyone under the Heaven Domain realm. He could send the little fox out to steal the scrolls and then directly teleport back to Miracle City. When Chu Tian was prepared to carry out his plan, a slim golden-haired figure opened the door. She had a beautiful appearance that could topple a country. It was Jean Luo. She looked at Chu Tian with eyes filled with anger as she said, "This is a scroll. I secretly took it from Grandma Bo Sha." Bo Sha handed a scroll over. Chu Tian was a bit stunned. "This is... You think I want to marry you?" Jean Luo glared at Chu Tian, "But since I stole Grandma Bo Sha's scroll, I'll have to hide in Miracle City for a while. You won't refuse, right?" "Ha, ha, no problem, no problem. There are several transport scrolls anyways." "Then let's go." There was a flash of light in the room. When the guards found that the two of them had disappeared, they quickly ran over to report to City Lord Bo Sha. Bo Sha only gave a faint, "I understand," and didn't care about this matter anymore. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.